like, sign me up. I'm ready to do something stupid. And I was thinking that we were going to create something. Oh, we're going to hike across the Rocky Mountains in the middle of winter, or we're going to run across the U.S. We're just going to come up with something stupid and design it. And it wasn't until I got on a video call with the fourth member of the team, Chris Smith, who Chris and I have been running mates for 15, 16 years. And then I realized, like, Taco gave up his name too, and we're on the same call together. Like, hey, we're on this team to do something. And then Brian and Jim introduced, like, have you ever heard of the Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Challenge? What's that? Talisker whiskey sounds interesting. Well, we're going to row in a rowboat across the Atlantic Ocean. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
The Black Rifle Podcast starts now.
I can't get over that. Look at that fucking thing, man.
Yeah, he's gnarly. He's like,
you score him?
Yeah, 448. He's a well-fed animal.
Sure.
Yeah. I got mad one hunting season because I missed every fucking elk.
What do you mean you missed?
And I 3. Fucking missed 3.
Bad, shooting or just bad timing? They spooked.
No, just I was like, archery hunting is so weird. It's so weird. My first year, I shot my first elk at 93 yards with my bow. Well, I didn't know better.
Right.
So I didn't know. I was shooting foam at 100 plus, whatever. So it's a 93-yard shot, 60-pound bow. He pinwheeled and died in literally less than 5 minutes in the same spot that I shot him.
It'll never happen again.
That'll never happen
again.
I was like, oh, this shit's easy. Why are you guys like, archery? So I was like, this is stupid. What? Like, you guys are talking about how hard this stuff is. Like, this is easy, man. Totally. Had no idea because it was the second elk that I killed was in Northern California later, like less than a month later. Same thing, 73 yards, 1 arrow. He died 15 yards away from where I shot him. I'm like, you guys keep complaining about this. What is this thing? Oh my gosh, it's so hard. And and then my next year, horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
beginner's luck is done. We're done with beginner's luck.
We're done, and now you're going to pay. So, and it's very much the pendulum, right? So, I got the full spectrum of hunting in the first 2 years from archery, which was the first year beginner's luck, second year just I'm going to kick you in the fucking face and make you think that you're a complete idiot. So I got that one, which is very, very humbling experience. And then 3 and 4 have been like, oh, okay, I get it now. You got to grind it out. Mm-hmm. You got to grind it out. So,
because I think you were just getting into archery when we first met. When we shot the tack. That was like basically your first year, my first year, second year.
Yeah,
that was the first year I met John. Maybe the second year. So we were both starting at the same time. And
same.
I want to talk about stumbling into a total gem, right? Like. Raise your game like this. Like you walk in and it's like I tell everybody like Duds is like the Nolan Ryan of baseball for me for archery, right? And then he walks into your high school and says, hey, you know what? Let me teach you a few pitches. It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah,
that's who he was for me. I'm assuming
same.
You.
Yeah. He was the guy that, hey, I'll come out and teach you, or I'll spend some time with you. And then I went out and hunted with him multiple times. We went to Canada. We hunted up there. Mm-hmm. We hunted in Colorado. One, he's a lot of fun to hunt with, and 2, he's a really well accomplished hunter. So you can learn so many different things just in a matter of, we'll call it 2 days worth of stalking. Mm-hmm. Reading wind and approaches and all the things that might take you 10 years of hunting to pick up. So you can really increase your education curve, which that's one thing I appreciate about him. Like, he's a fucking phenomenal human.
Oh, he's great. He's a good dude, great dude. And I think he just genuinely wants to help people and like be a great ambassador for his community.
Yeah.
Whether it's hunting, conservation, or archery, like in the combination of both where those two worlds collide, like he just truly gives to people. So.
Do you shoot your bow quite a bit still?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
You guys got snow out there in Colorado?
It's fucking cold. We got think we got a week of temperatures not getting above single digits.
Oh, cool.
This week. So, but yeah, I shoot it quite a bit. Not as much as I did this year, but again, I kind of gave up a lot of my hunting season this year. Reprioritizing things, but I got to get back on the bow more.
Well, yeah, because you took the last year. When did you row across the Atlantic?
I think we left December 14th, 2023.
Okay.
We would be just getting to the finish line.
Yeah.
Like this week.
Right.
Last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, and then how long did that take you?
33 and a half days.
33 and a half days.
33 days, 17 hours, and a handful of minutes. I think.
You're going to have to like unpack this entire thing. So we talked about it earlier where you get an email. That's the entire thing starts basically from this email. Mm-hmm. And then let's just walk me through what happened there.
It is pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
I got an email from a guy, Brian,
yeah.
Mutual friend of ours, which we had no idea until
later,
3 years afterwards.
Yeah.
But saying, hey, man, I got your name from Taco, and would love to have a call with you, see if you're interested in doing something really crazy. Okay, cool. Get on a video call with him and his buddy. Talking. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm interested. Hey, well, why don't we meet down in Denver? It's like halfway between you and I live in Larkspur. I'm like, okay. So we met and kicked it off. He's a great dude, man. Just
super
a lot of fun. Thinks a lot of the same things. He's interested in the outdoors and pushing his limits. And it's like, hey, I'd love to do this, man. I'd love to create a friendship and get to know more. Like, sign me up. I'm ready to do something stupid. And I was thinking that we were going to create something. Oh, we're going to hike across the Rocky Mountains in the middle of winter, or we're going to run across the U.S. We're just going to come up with something stupid and design it. And it wasn't until I got on a video call with the fourth member of the team, Chris Smith, who Chris and I have been running mates for 15, 16 years. And then I realized like Taco gave up his name too. And we're on the same call together. Like, hey, we're on this team to do something. And then Brian and Jim introduced like, have you ever heard of the Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Challenge? I'm like, what's that? Talisker whiskey sounds interesting. Well, we're going to row in a rowboat across the Atlantic Ocean. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, man. I'm not a great swimmer. The ocean,
you're a Marine.
The ocean.
You're not a great swimmer.
The ocean rowing. What do we? I've rowed on a Concept 2 before. I've done a kayak and some adventure races and eco challenges, Primal Quest and stuff, but like nothing. We're gonna row in a rowboat. Is that people even do that? He's like, no, it's part of a race. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. Figure this out. And the funny thing is Chris's wife and my wife, neither of them wanted us to do this. They're like, this is stupid. This is absurd.
Why?
No.
Why do they think it's stupid? Do they think it's dangerous?
Yeah, dangerous.
Okay.
Out of the realm of our experience base. Like you're always trying to do something more, learn something more, push your margins. You're taking it too far this time.
Right.
You're going to keep taking it so far until somebody gets hurt. And it was like, hey, and we listened, it's like, hey, we're going to fucking do this.
Right.
So we did it. So that's how the team started. And then we trained for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years.
So when you're training for something like this, I mean, and explain to me the route first, because I think that's important.
Okay.
Because you're departing from where? Florida?
No, we departed from La Gomera, the Canary Islands, Spain.
Okay, there we go.
Spain off of North Africa, whatever, right? Funny enough that the island that Christopher Columbus started, we didn't realize all the connections, but you learn it after you get involved in the race, where Christopher Columbus started his first voyage across the Atlantic.
Right.
So we rode from La Gomera, the Canary Islands, to Antigua in the Caribbean.
Right.
3,000 miles, 26.
3,000
2,700 and a half miles or something like that, nautical miles.
And there's nothing. Like once you pull
Water.
out, that's it.
Yeah.
You're on water for 33 days in hours and minutes.
Totally self-supported.
Right.
So no crew, no safety boats, no, like you have everything you need for however long it's going to take you to complete your journey. Like you have it with you.
So how much, well, there's lots of different things here that are colliding in my brain at once.
Yeah.
Which is 2.5 years of training. And one, do you already have a boat design? Is this like a boat that everybody kind of knows which one to buy? Or do you guys have to design your own boat? kind of come up with the specs? Is it like a box car or not a
soapbox derby?
Yeah, soapbox derby where everybody gets the same boat, or is it like no, you have to design, manufacture, come up with the whole thing all on your own?
Yeah, the combination of both, right? So we went race class, and there's one boat builder that's pretty much dominates this race. This race has been around for like 14 years or something. So we went with that boat builder, Rannick, and there was a standard 4-person, a 3-station rowing boat, 25 and a half feet long, 5 feet wide. It's kind of like your classic. It's called the R45. So we picked that boat. Since we set a really lofty goal of trying to win the race, we decided to buy a brand new boat with all of the upgrades, carbon fiber upgrades, all this. So it ended up being really expensive. And
what's a boat like that cost?
I think totally outfitting the boat itself with all the electronics and everything like that was just under $200,000.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's an expensive rowboat.
Yeah, it's not cheap. You know, and we had the luxury of some sponsorship too, right? Like Black Rifle was super generous. Rogue Fitness, XIT Ranch.
Yeah.
And then our relationship with Concept 2. So, with Concept 2 outfitting us with custom built, modified, designed oars. I mean, that's actually ocean rowing oars. I didn't realize how expensive they are. But, and then, so anyways, I forget where we're at, but we did 2.5 years of training. A lot of it on a Concept 2 rower, a lot of it just doing dude shit.
Yeah.
Building teamwork, resilience, working on the mental game, physical fitness, obviously. And then we got our boat delivered to Florida, Amelia Island. And so we would travel to Amelia Island every 6 to 10 weeks and for a week, and we would do team training on our boat in Florida.
Yeah. What do you do? What's your team training? You're just going through your rotation, trying to get your timing right. Like obviously I understand that from a boat perspective, but you haven't been in a boat like this before. Have any of you guys prior to this point? No. So you're planning on winning.
Yeah,
you're
totally green. Sounds like your classic typical like alpha, stereotypical male military guy, right?
Yeah,
totally.
So all of you guys, this is your first time.
Yeah.
So you get in this boat. When you get in the boat, what's going through your head at this point? Like the first few hours of in this,
it's like, oh shit, we didn't know what we didn't know. We got a whole lot more to learn. But you just like anything, man. Just like your training, you just take over. Hey, step 1, step 2. Let's just build it. Let's just get familiar and figure shit out. We're gonna stumble our way through it. No problem. Getting out on the boat on the water. I mean, it was all brand new from trying to drive the boat on the trailer and back it up.
Yeah.
Launching it and then trying to get it down the boat ramp to the end of the pier, to all learning, little steering it, rowing strokes. And then we hired this guy, Angus Collins, who, we were talking about Nolan Ryan, right? And John Dudley, the Nolan Ryan of the archery community, bow hunting community. Well, Angus Collins is the Nolan Ryan of the ocean rowing community.
Right.
He set the world record across the Atlantic. He's rowed the Atlantic a couple times. He's won the race. He's got the world record, had the world record for the Indian Ocean, rowed the Pacific. Like the guy's the ocean rowing dude, guru.
Right.
So we asked him if he would come to Florida and do a training session with us to teach us. And we had such a good time with Angus for a week in Florida. We asked him if he would consider running our campaign, nuts to bolts, right? And he said yes. So we contracted him.
That's awesome.
And he was our campaign manager. Couldn't call him a team captain because that was Brian's job, but ultimately he was like the general manager of the team. We learned so much from Angus, so much. He was invaluable. We wouldn't have had the success that we had if it wasn't for Angus. I mean, even solving problems with a sat phone while we're underway. It's like Angus, we broke our auto tiller. Angus, the waves are 30, 35 feet. Like, we got no auto tiller. What do we do? How do we fix this? How do we fix our water pump? Like,
I don't know what an auto tiller is. What is that?
Auto tiller is it's this mechanical device that sits on your rudder. It's slave to your GPS so that you can plug it in like a direction.
Oh, okay,
It'll
gotcha.
It'll hold
your line.
direction for a period of time.
Right.
You know, you have to correct it for set and drift and all that shit, but it helps steer you.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't for Angus. And then we logged, I think we logged close to 300 hours of rowing time in Florida on our boat, day and night, you know, just practicing everything, your nutrition, your work rest cycles, your body hygiene, maintenance, boat maintenance, hygiene, boat systems, navigation, I mean, communications, safety, you know, emergency drills.
Like, so what are you eating? I mean, like, obviously you've got a ton of training, but then weight is a consideration because everything, you know, you guys weigh, what's your combined body weight between the crew that was on the boat?
Yeah, I think we were like 850 pounds combined body weight, 860 pounds. Jim was the biggest.
So then you have obviously your caloric intake that you have to map out over the course of a month. And then how are you mapping that out? Because everything that you put in, obviously you're expending a huge amount of caloric, you know, output every day. What are you putting back in? And then how are you carrying that? Because there's got to be water weight. Are you doing dehydrated? Like explain to me your food circumstance.
Yeah, what's cool is the race has been around long enough, and there's been a lot of people, largely European, right? Like, so there's some expertise and some experience. And part of the race guidelines dictate how much food minimum requirement you need to take.
Oh, okay.
So if I remember right, what they said was you need to have 60 calories per kilogram of body weight per day, something like that, right? And so we figured everybody had a basic caloric minimum, and then you had to take 55 days worth of food with you as the minimum for the race.
Okay. Right.
And of that, a certain percentage had to be allocated for emergency ration use only.
Right.
And a certain percentage of the overall had to be wet rations.
Okay.
And dry rations. So we had these things figured out. But then, like you're saying, so we wanted to win. So it wasn't just going by those. Now there's room for optimization of those minimum requirements.
Right.
And it's like, well, what dehydrated meals pack the most calories for the lightest gram of weight, right? Which ones work with our digestion? Which ones provide the best macronutrient and micronutrient densities for what you as an individual or what I as an individual need based off of what is our anticipated work output physically. So you're trying to balance all these numbers, you know, working with a nutritionist, coming up with what fuels you as an athlete under these circumstances the best. And we ate largely dehydrated meals.
Really?
Yeah. We had some wet rations, which were phenomenal, which you would dip into those every now and then, but they don't pack a calorie punch like the dehydrated ones do.
Right.
But there's a different sort of psychological replenishment that happens when you're eating that.
Yeah.
The forward cabin, Chris and Jim used their jet boil and they heated their meals up. I'm a little bit more stubborn, so Brian and I, we didn't use any jet boils. Just put some water in a dehydrated meal.
Really?
Just put your tin in the sun and let the sun heat it up and eat your shit. But
okay.
You know, we're trying to, you know,
so is there like a team riff in there? Was there like the forward and you and Brian, like you guys were like
just different styles.
Just different styles.
Yeah, just different styles, and it was all good. But ounces, pounds pain.
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
pain's time. So we just shaved every bit we could off of our boat weight. Which, funny enough, side story, right? Like Jim doesn't make it to the post office in time before the race to mail his shit home that we had because we were in Gamera before the race started for like 2 weeks. Well, Jim being Jim just doesn't make it to the post office in time to mail his shit home. So we take, I don't know, 20 pounds of fucking luggage. He stores it in the the cabin. Yeah, we don't find out until we're like halfway through. Like, what is this? Oh, that's the stuff I need in Gamera. Why didn't you mail it? Well, I didn't get to the post office in time. But just classic stuff. Just it brings back memories of military stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like just like goofy shit that happens. But
so when you're in a rotation, as far as you're in the boat, you have sleeping quarters. How many guys can sleep at once?
The cabins are super tight. Like, look at this table.
Yeah.
That's about the size of the stern cabin. And then maybe times and a half this for the forward cabin was where you had all your gear, your equipment, and then you would go in to sleep or shelter from weather.
Mm-hmm.
Jim is like 6'4", 240. Brian and I are between 5'10" and 6 foot between the two of us and roughly 200 pounds.
Right.
So Jim was in the forward cabin with Chris. Brian and I were in the stern cabin. Not enough space to fully lay out flat, right? But that was our cabin. You could fit. We had 2 people in there very rarely because it just wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, you're basically naked laying on top of each other in a sweat box. It's 120 degrees full of mold. But our work rotation was such that you never really had to be in your cabin with somebody.
Right.
So we were always rowing nonstop, 2 people on the oars, 2-hour shifts on, 2-hour shifts off. That was our standard rotation.
Right.
And we were staggered started.
Okay.
So I would get on the oars and you would be rowing. I would row for 2 hours. Well, 1 hour into that, you would be getting off and then the other person would be getting on.
Got it.
They would row for 2 hours, but 1 hour into their shift, I would be getting off and then my cabin mate would be getting on.
Right.
So 2 hours on, 2 hours off for 33 days.
So you
was our standard rotation.
You would only sleep for 2-hour blocks then, or actually less than that if you slept.
40 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would, like just sleeping, you got to be like extremely sleep deprived because of the rotation alone, or do you just learn how to like, whatever, it's 45 minutes to an hour worth of sleep and I'm going to get X amount of sleep per day and then you're going to compensate with more throughout the day basically because you're on or off?
Yeah.
How's that work?
I mean, you know it, like our bodies are amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They adapt. Now they might not be as efficient or as optimized, but our bodies adapt to stresses. And the sleep cycle was definitely a stress. Because, you know, you get off your rotation, your body's already amped up from rowing. So you kind of settle down there. You've got team responsibilities. You got your individual boat responsibilities. You got boat maintenance. You got individual maintenance. You got eating. That all is crammed into your 2 hours of off time. And then when you wake back up from your off time, you have your prep. So you got to shake your cobwebs out. You got to get loosened up because you're stiffer than shit. You've got to get organized. You have to get your gear prepared to be on shift for 2 hours. So, you know, you were getting about 40 minutes to an hour if you were really efficient of sleep.
Got it.
It was very rare that I would get more than like 50 minutes of like, no shit, I fell asleep.
Okay.
And where you're at on your REM cycles and your sleep cycles, who knows at that point, right? Which is funny enough, as we got into the row and we were really, really fatigued, we would be waking up after like 5 minutes of sleep, 10 minutes of sleep, starting to get ready for shift. And then the guy that was out there was like, what are you doing, Tosh? Or what are you doing, Brian? What are you doing, Chris? I'm getting ready for shift. I got to go. He's like, no. You've only been out for 5 minutes. You've got a whole nother hour.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, wow.
Right.
You know, but you get adapted to it. Where it really got hard is when we did this cycle called 3 Up. So Angus would say, hey, mates, we need you to go hard for 24 hours, 36 hours. We want to get you in position for weather. You know, you're chasing first place. Like you're right here, you're right there. We want to row 3 up. What that means is there's a rower on all 3 rowing stations. And so your work rest cycle is 2 hours of rowing, 40 minutes off.
Got it.
And we would row for 24 hours or 36 hours like that. And then that's where it really, but man, that's where you become a real man.
That's when you become a real man.
Who can endure that?
Shit.
And then also having like faculty to recognize boat performance is decreasing, even though our work we're putting into it is more. Like the bang for the buck is not worth it. So let's stop that cycle.
So why?
Right?
How is that possible? If you're putting in more work, but your performance is decreasing, is because you're just not putting the power output to performance isn't working, or like why would that decrease? Is it just because you're not putting as much energy into it because you're just too tired? So
that could be a function of it, right? Like just your physiological capacity is decreasing to the point where you can't overcome the boat.
Yeah.
Physics of the boat,
right?
The conditions, or the conditions get worse.
Yeah.
Right. So you have the greatest of intent to have 3 up, but the conditions are such that third rowing station isn't efficient and you're banging oars together, or it doesn't matter.
Right.
Or the weather got so good that having that third person's not adding any extra because the boat's already maximized with the hull speed, buoyancy and everything like that. Like adding more muscle isn't going to make the boat go any faster because we're up against its physical limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to 2 on, 2 off, right? Instead of just burning energy. Well, there's a lot of thought involved to it. It's not just a meathead, just get there and row.
Oh no, I can't even imagine. Yeah. Because I mean, I'm thinking about it from the context of the things that are demanding. There's a lot of things that are demanding. Like you got tight quarters, you've got extended period of time on the open ocean. Like the psychologically, like once you're in the open ocean, do you have any issues with that, or did you leading up to it? Were you like, man, this is going to be kind of scary?
Yeah, I think that's where it's like, hey, I'm working with 3 Navy SEALs, right? I'm working with some of the finest the military have, right? So it's 3 Navy SEALs and myself and the physical piece and all of our experiences. It's like, hey, we got all that solved, and not even that you've solved it, but that if you're faced, we're going to work through it. So the hardest part about the whole row was the psychological, the team dynamics. And we had great team dynamics, but man, 33 and a half days shit just unfolds. And how well do you deal with things that unfold? And how well do you deal with individual dynamics? And that was the hardest part of the race, really. And we did great. We did really, really well. Not as well as we supposed to. We should have. We had it in us to do better, but I think it was a function of the psychological stuff.
Really?
That just if people ask me all the time, like, hey, if you go back, what would you do different? We would have spent more time in the psychological space because we all think we've got it, but we don't.
What were the big challenges that you can think of from a psychological perspective? Like, what were the things that were preventive, like obstacles?
Yeah. Well, first, the good things was we're all really close. Yeah. Really great. All professional. We all have the backgrounds where it was like, hey, you could get in each other's face and say, hey, fuck you, or you're a pussy, or all that stuff, but it's never taken personal, and you can drive and do all that. So we had all that in spades, and it was really, really good. The problem solving, the communication, right? But the funny thing is as fatigue starts to add up, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, like you start to pronounce different personality traits, or you start to pronounce different things that maybe have been suppressed, right? Like, you can be on your best behavior, but if I subject you to some physical discomfort for a while, you can only hold that up for so long until that starts to break down, and then it gives opportunity for something else to come out. And this is in a good, healthy sense too, right? So then we all have to try to figure out how to adapt and evolve and understand what this new thing's coming out that's never come out before.
Right.
I've never seen this out of Evan. Like, we've never been in a situation nearly to replicate this, and his defenses have gotten down and all of his strengths have been used to be the best that he could be. And now this little thing just started to come out. And Evan's trying to figure out what that little thing is, let alone the other 3 people, right? And imagine that's happening for all 4 of us.
Right.
So that's just really what happens, and you're trying to work through all those things. And it's actually beautiful. It really is. Like, I'm fascinated about leadership stuff and the human beings and what make people tick. So that's just where I dork out. So it was really cool. But one of the big things is just all around goal setting. And I'm a weirdo, man. I'm super weird. And, we had an auto tiller failure. We got into some massive weather, and the auto tiller wasn't designed to be able to sustain, operate, function in the conditions that we put it in. We were outside of its parameters, and we broke it. And then the second one that we had failed, and we had to fix that and stuff.
So did you have a backup that was like ready to go that you just had to, like, how do you put that back on? Like, do you have to get in the water?
No, it's inside the stern cabin. We had 2, so we have a redundancy. But you gotta, if your auto tiller breaks because the conditions are so crazy, right? You imagine what the boat is. So we're in 30, 35 foot seas, middle of night. The boat is, you lose steering. So now you're sideways and you're rolling, like, and it's just sheer chaos.
Oh, wow.
And you're trying to pull the auto tiller. You got to pull a pin and unscrew something and unplug wires and then get the other one in. And, Brian and I are in a space like this trying to reach through a cavity, trying to get this thing fixed, while the guys on deck are battling the seas with a broken oar gate, trying to hand steer the boat, to get things like, I mean, it's chaos.
Oh yeah.
It's wild. Like you can't really understand the sheer noise in the wind, 40 mile, 50 mile an hour winds, rain.
So it's at night,
Yeah.
30-foot seas, no auto tiller, broken oar gate. You're crammed in a small space with Brian trying to fix something while the other guys are like, at that point, what's going through your head?
Nothing. That's what's so cool. I think that's our training, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's going through your head. Like it's just all, we've got to do this.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure things were going through your head, but it was methodical, calculated. Things are happening and you're just doing. Mm-hmm. You go back to your training, you're communicating, hey, we have to do something. It's like, do this, do that. Everybody's working together as a team. You're all kind of a captive audience, right? Mm-hmm. Like you either fix this or you
die.
That would be extreme, but you roll over. I thought we were going to roll. That would be the worst possible thing to do, would be to roll, especially if you have a cabin door open.
Right. Because if you have a cabin door open, you roll.
You stay rolled.
You just stay.
Your boat loses its buoyancy.
You're going to put out, basically, at that point, what you guys would have to do is put out your emergency signal, I'm assuming, right? If it rolls over, stays rolled,
our EPIRB will go off automatically.
Yeah,
which
it
would.
Cool. Okay, got it. So,
but we would have to deploy the life boat.
Right.
Which would be underwater. And then you're in 35-foot seas, 30-foot seas. Yeah, it would have been gnarly. There was actually
you were thinking about this, obviously, because I mean, I'm just assuming like you understand, like, okay, here's my primary alternate contingency emergency plan. This thing rolls. I got to fucking figure out how to get to the life raft, right? Or
I don't think we were thinking about any of that. No. Like, because I think, I don't know, we're trying to go back in time and do the best we can. I don't remember. I don't think I was thinking about any of that.
Right.
I was so focused on solve the problem.
Right.
If you solve the problem, none of that shit matters.
Yeah.
And I think the whole team was in that space, right? Which was beautiful. I think that's why we solved it. We weren't spending any bandwidth thinking about, oh, well, what if? And oh my God, oh, this. And we were automatically prepared through the training that if that situation arrived, we would start thinking about that situation and we would have the luxury of being able to get caught up to speed because of all the training that we did.
Yeah.
The muscle memory, right? The teamwork and all that great stuff. So we were spending all of our conscious thought probably on, let's just solve this right now. But it was wild, man. That auto tiller failure spooked everybody to whatever degree for a little while. We were on hand steering for a couple hours. Because it failed like 3 nights in a row. Ironically, Christmas night, not Eve, the day of Christmas, the big storm came in, and that night was when the storm hit, and we for like 4 days later, we're in this massive storm, and so auto tiller failures all the time. And then what that did was exposed, because the failing of the auto tiller started to expose some battery wiring issues that were part of the boat. So now we're dealing with back-to-back issues, right? Auto tiller, we get the auto tiller thing going, and next thing you know, now we're dealing with only one battery instead of two. So now we have to cycle energy at the right times because of sun, and a whole new set of problems because now you're working with half your battery power.
Right.
You're only allowed to charge so much during the day through your solar. And so what are we going to spend the energy on that we've got when we have to run a water maker? The water maker is the single thing that just absorbs so much power. And so we're on water rations to try to stay up with the water. We're dipping into emergency water because we got to get our water maker. I'm trying to figure out how we can work our batteries to limp home, for another 12 days on one battery. But just really cool problem solving stuff, man. It was really cool.
Yeah, really cool problems around rationing your water. Yeah. I'm fascinated by this because you're down to a battery. You've got all these other issues that have gone, through the system, and as a team, were there wheels starting to come off? Wheels were starting to come off a little bit. Yeah. And
rightfully so, right?
Of course, that's what happens.
But that's where, Yeah, that's where you train to delay when the wheels come off. And when the wheels start to come off, you delay the rate of them coming off. That's where the training comes in. I always look at leadership. There's natural decay. Anytime you put a team together, there's decay.
Right.
What leadership does is to try to delay the decay, the rate of decay, right? You put a bunch of people together to go do a mission, to go do this or that. Natural decay is going to occur across whatever parameter you want. What leadership does is tries to delay the rate of that decay, and at times tries to recharge, but knowing that it's inevitable. It's like time.
Yeah.
It is how long. And so that's where training and leadership comes into play, is just that the wheels are coming off. Like, let's just keep the wheels on for a little bit longer, or let's let them wobble a little bit more, but not as much as they could, you know?
Were there times where you think back, you could have done a better job, been a little bit more patient, emphasized a little bit more leadership? I don't believe in regrets. I'm just wondering, like, where were your individual lessons learned specifically with?
It's exactly what you said for me personally. You know, I go back to one time when I wish I'd done a lot better. It was part of my personal goals, knowing me, talking with other people, self-analysis, because I'm doing all this as part of my, like, I took this very serious. This training for this race, and it's like, hey, you know me, where are my opportunities for growth, improvement? What do you think where do you think I'm going to struggle in this dynamic? The best that we can try to pretend that we can anticipate what we're going to experience for this thing. And I'm leveraging a whole bunch of people in my life to just do some really good introspection and set some personal goals of who I want to be and how I want to present and show up for my team, for myself, align goals, doing a lot of that work. And it's funny, there's this one time when I was like, I just missed the ball on that. And I wish I had picked up on it sooner and corrected, because then maybe we would have been better off down the road as a team, you know, or maybe my experience would have been better off, or maybe so-and-so's experience would have been better off. And like you said, no regrets. I'm really proud of who I was during the row and how much work, mental work, you know, I put into the leadership stuff in addition to the physical stuff, right? I always said going into the row that this isn't about the physical at all. This row is 90% mental, psychological. And but yeah, there's a good moment when I just missed the mark, and I wish I had been better in that moment for a teammate, because I was inadvertently, unintentionally, just like, and it's one of those things, right? We talked about a minute ago, like you get so weak that this thing starts to come out of you, and now it has and I'm not recognizing it, and it's new to you. It's new to, you know what I mean? And I didn't recognize it soon enough, and it's actually your greatest of intentions is actually causing that harm, until that harm kind of, you know, and I wish I would have been better at that moment right there. You know, I know exactly when that moment was, but
yeah, it's interesting because I to provide context, I think too, because we're talking in general terms, which is there are times when I've been so tired, and you're tired of being tired, and you're like just kind of fucked. You got nothing left in the tank. You're like, you know, stressed out, you're beat down, you're tired, you probably haven't eaten a lot, you're a little bit dehydrated, like you're not your best. And there are times when I'm like, man, I've looked back on, you know, circumstance and specifically where you kind of pretend like it doesn't exist. And I'm not saying that's what happens, but you're like, you see something, you don't get ahead of it because you're like, maybe it's not there, but you're kind of like, you saw it.
Yeah.
But you're like, you don't want to address it because you're like, well, fucking hopefully it goes away.
It'll go away on its own. Or your ego lets you say, it doesn't fucking matter. Like all those things,
it doesn't matter. Right. And like, man, I'll tell you, it's good though, because I'm glad that I've had that experience in myself, because now I'm like, fucking get on it. Like now, like
listen to that.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this. You've been subjected to like psych profile tests and all kinds of batteries of shit, right?
Yeah.
And the battery of testing will go on and on and on and on and on until you decide to stop fighting it. once you decide to stop fighting it, then the testing's over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whether it's 16 hours or 28 hours, you just continue to get pumped with these tests. And you're taking the tests, and it's like you finally reach a point when it's like, I know the answer to this is this, but that's not the right answer for me. But that's the answer that I know I need to give. And whether you're aware of it or not, I know if I give that answer, the testing is going to keep going on. Fuck it, I'm going to answer it this way. You answer it that way, and it's like, okay, hey, we're done here.
Okay.
I just went 18 hours to give up in that one little moment. Had I just said, I'm going to hold on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been there, right?
Yeah. It's such an interesting dynamic for you guys because you're all former military guys. You've got some Navy guys, and you've got Department of the Navy, obviously represented by you, and enlisted in. Were you the only officer, or was everybody else?
Yeah, I was the only officer.
So you have a combination of enlisted, and then of course you. But you were prior service. You were prior enlisted. How
that was my biggest slight as an officer was I had too much enlisted in me, anyways. So it's kind of
because you were enlisted the majority of your career, right? Or was it equal?
No, eight or 9 years. 8 years, 8 and change. I was enlisted, and 11 years officer. But
I thought it was flipped. Yeah. I thought you were 11 and 9.
One cool thing is I had more sea time. I had more sea time than all three of those Navy SEALs combined.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And we would joke about that, and those guys were great.
Yeah.
I didn't get off the boat. I didn't mean to hijack where you were going with that train of thought. I didn't get off the boat to wash the bottom of the boat. Those guys did. That's what Navy SEALs do. They jump in fucking the ocean when there's sharks, right?
Yeah.
I stayed on the boat and steered, man.
Yeah.
That's what that was the big joke.
I'm not a huge fan. I love the ocean for recreation. I love it. Like, it's an amazing and beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
It scares the shit out of me, though. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, I don't like being out. Like, when I say this, like, I can get used to anything, but it's just, we just don't, do a lot of it. Going out into the open ocean. Like, I went out with a buddy of mine. We were doing, like, some free dive spearfishing and just sitting in the ocean, like where you can't see the bottom. It could be 10,000 feet. Who the fuck knows? And you're just like, you and this big,
just waiting for something to eat you.
Well, and I know, like, because you can work through the like, logic doesn't catch up with emotion. And I believe that most of the time that logic and emotion, when they merge, it's through repetition that you can overcome that. Because in order to overcome fear, you actually sometimes have to just triumph where you're like, this can't happen. However, there's a fear cycle that you have to work through, just repetition, and then pretty soon you're used to it and you're like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. I just haven't gone through the reps on it to go all the way through the fear cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's funny that you're talking about this, because I'm fascinated with this stuff, and you don't ever want to short circuit the emotional response, because it's essential. There's a lot of value with having, whether it's your fear cycle or not, right? Having your emotional reaction to something, there's a lot of valuable information there that your body's using, right? That we're not aware of. And so it's like, I don't ever want to have my logic cycle so awesome that I can just shut the emotional cycle off and go there.
Yeah.
You need them both. You know what I mean? And you got to give the due process to the emotional cycle in order to capture the benefits of it, but then have some sort of trigger or something so that say, hey, now's time to transition to my logic model and my rational model and leverage that. And then it's through the combination of those two. That's fascinating that you just brought that up, because that's where I've been spending a lot of time in the last couple months digging.
Well, that's where complacency comes in, right? So, like, overcoming, that emotional piece. So if we just break it down into like two halves, right? Where you can break down data and understand it from a very objective and empirically based perspective. And then you can say, but I'm scared, and identify the fact that I'm scared and go, okay, but why? Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I'm still scared, but I still have to work through the cycle. An example of that is like combat. Like, you never stop being scared, right? It's not a thing that I ever was like, oh, I'm not scared. Like, I'm fucking scared as shit. But you get cycles, and you kind of understand the environment. You get more, I would say, used to it, and then you come in and out of it. And of course, like, for me, it was like Iraq and Afghanistan both, right? So I had multiple cycles in Iraq and multiple cycles in Afghanistan. And there's an ebb and a flow. Mm-hmm. But then by the time I left on I think my last rotation was like 2012. Like I was pretty flippant with what was going on. And then I kind of, through repetition, I had really repetition, and ultimately what I would say is the philosophical and logical triumph over emotion, to the point where you're like, fuck it, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. What? It's all over anyway. Right? Yeah. Where you're like, who cares? Yeah. You know, where then you just kind of kill that piece until something happens, but then you go right back into it in the context of like, you just get more complacent, and it doesn't keep you really driven to keep a fucking razor's edge. Mm-hmm. And that's actually, I didn't like that. I didn't like how flippant I was with circumstances.
When you start losing your touch point to that emotion, fear, whatever, when you lose the ability to touch it again, that's when it's like, okay, hey, I'm too far to the one side. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now we got to build some mechanisms to recreate the touch point. Right. It doesn't mean that you have to live in the touch point. You always have to maintain the ability to touch that again and say, hey, that fear is actually healthy because it's keeping me on the razor's edge or the sharp, or keep me from being complacent or cavalier or reckless or dangerous, flippant. Right. Mm-hmm. You got to have that touch point, man.
Well, when did you join? What year did you join?
I enlisted in February 93.
Okay. Yeah. Were you 0311 to begin with? Yeah. Yeah. And then, so that was 9 years. Did you say 8.5 or 9 years as an enlisted guys?
8 years, 8.5 years.
Where were you at?
I went to Keflavik, Iceland for my first duty station, Ground Defense Battalion.
God, that's awesome. So awesome.
Man. 18 years old, right?
Dude.
Man, living in a foreign country, Icelandic.
Iceland? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And my daughter, I have a daughter, 27-year-old daughter who's Icelandic too.
What's her name?
Sarah Lissy. She's amazing. Then I went to 2-2, 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines in Lejeune. And we pumped on a 22nd MEU. We did a little something off of Albania, Herzegovina, and then steamed directly to Liberia for that civil war there, the conflict. Did some time in Liberia. And on the out chop of that tour, I got accepted for a commissioning program. So I went back to the States and checked into 8th Tank Battalion up in Rochester, New York, University of Rochester for a ROTC program, and then 8th Tank Battalion. Did a couple years of college to finish up my my degree, and they commissioned me in 2000.
So you commissioned right before 9/11, basically, or a year, some change.
I remember where I was. I was at 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. I was a platoon commander. I had been in the battalion for about 5 months when 9/11 hit. Yeah, as a second lieutenant.
So you second lieutenant, prior enlisted, and now like the game is on, right?
And we didn't deploy right away. We went to Okinawa for a 31st MEU for right after 9/11. It was like 2 months later. We went to Okinawa, did our 6 months there, came back, and then boom. All right, hey, fleet up. We're going to Kuwait. We spent like 2 months in Kuwait before the March.
Okay, so you were on the invasion.
Yeah, I did the invasion. Yeah. Stayed there for 9-10 months. We did the invasion. We did the transition. We started the SASO operations. We started realigning forces, and the retrograde started happening. Yeah. We stayed in Diwania for a couple more months.
Oh yeah, I did Diwania. I was in Ajaf.
Yeah,
so we went in. Were you Tarawa? Was that Task Force Tarawa from the south through Kuwait with the Marines? Like which one was that?
We were part of the division. And in fact, it doesn't matter. We were the push-up Route 1.
Okay.
Task Force Tarawa. We were just a division.
Yeah.
Blue Diamond or the MEF or whatever. I don't even know what we were.
What was that like? What was that like for you guys? Did you guys have any resistance whatsoever coming north?
Yeah, we fought a lot. I remember. Here's a story we don't talk about it often because it's not interesting, I guess, but it's pretty cool. So we're getting ready. We get called early. Hey, You know, they're getting ready to blow up the gas oil. So they're going to, we got to march. We're early. We're leaving like a day early for the invasion. Oh, you guys are leaving at night. Oh shit. So we start working our way to the breach. Now I'm the lead soft skin vehicle for our battalion, who's the lead of our prong of attack for the regiment for RCT 5.
Right.
And I get thrown 4 tanks. I get a platoon of tanks. So I was a horrible officer. So during the workup for about a month before that, you know, breach plan, here's the breaching, here's the marking system, here's the route to get through the breaches, to get from Kuwait into Iraq, and, you know, you got a GPS, a plugger. I didn't know how to use that shit. Blue Force tracker. Like, fuck, man. I spend time. I don't care. We got 4 tanks.
Yeah.
All we got to do is follow 4 tanks, right? Plug that shit in. The tanks drive themselves. They shoot shit. We follow them. No problem. So we're at the breach, getting ready, and we're driving towards the breach. We get a call. Hey, we're taking the 4 tanks because 7th Marines on the right flank is engaged in an armor fight. All the tanks are going down to 7th Marines. Tosh, you're the lead vehicle for the RCT. Oh, all right. Oh, fuck, how do we get through this thing? I wasn't paying attention to that stuff. I was focused on other stuff. Man. So we got to go through the breach. And let alone, I don't even know, like, what are the grid coordinates to the location that we're going to? It's generally north, right? Like, okay, cool, let's go that way.
It's north.
And it's nighttime. And so we're driving, and we are trying to navigate the breach, and we roll over concertina wire. Fouls up my vehicle. And so I jump out of the vehicle, I grab my grab bag, jump into the vehicle behind me, swap out with the VC and jump in that vehicle, and let's figure this the fuck out. You know, like that was the first hour of my war.
Right.
Was dealing with that. And then now we cross the border and we start going north. My vehicle ends up getting boom, 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 follows up, gets back caught up. We're like an hour through the breach and we just start seeing hot spots all over the desert. And so we go hot and we're shooting tows at these hot spots. We're shooting machine guns at these hot spots, Mark 19s. But we're not receiving any fire. We didn't realize what's going on. And majority, like, we're all green, right? Like, we're all green. So stop, boom, boom, boom. We start doing some moving. You know, we had called it all in through the battalion and everything like that. And well, they were hot spots, but they were derelicts. And what the Iraqis were doing, whether they would collect sunlight and then they would become hot spots, but they were all BMPs and T-62s, and they looked live.
Right.
And our technology allows us to reach out to them pretty far, right? And, you know, shooting javelins and tow missiles and shit like that. And realized that they were just derelicts from the first Gulf War. So that was our first, you know, engagement. And, you know, we start laughing about it. It's like, okay, now we're trying to figure out where to go.
Right.
We're going to go that way. And we get going. And I get a call over the radio, and you just see a line of hot spots across the horizon. You know, you can't really tell depth or whatever, but they look all like BMPs, T-62s, T-64s. And we start moving up. I'm like, I mean, there's hundreds. I'm like, what the fuck? What are we doing? We call it in, you know, trying to get, you know, confirmation. Big gun battle going on with 7th Marines. We don't have a lot of the MEF assets that we want, right? And as we start getting closer, and the guys are like, okay, I guess this is how it goes. This is war. Right? Like, this is like no shit, full scale. Like, I've been in combat before, but this is like full scale war now. We're in an armor fight. And we got no tanks. So we get deployed and we start moving up and bounding. And they're like, sir, what do you think? I don't know how far we are. You know, like, you can't. Thermals didn't have a lot of range detection. Right. And trying to figure it out, and you're getting closer, trying to figure out. I'm like, hey, just wait. Like, we're not getting fired at. They're not changing their formation. It'd be foolish to think that they didn't see us coming. Yeah. I mean, we're a regiment reinforced, like, moving north. What's going on? Let's just wait. Let's get a little closer. Let's just wait. Bedouins, fucking 200, 300 camels, all just trying to get out of the war zone. And we almost just went to war with a bunch of, so that was like the first couple hours of our OIF experience. And then the sun rose and we went that direction, and we got to the GOSP and shot a bunch of bad guys and captured a bunch of bad guys. And that was my first day going up our avenue, Route 1.
Yeah.
I don't know what your experience was like, but it was pretty.
I was a lead vehicle in the 101st, so you east, we were west.
Mm-hmm.
So as we crossed the berm, I was vehicle 1 of the entire 101st Airborne Mobile. So I was driver Evan. Yeah. And,
yeah, pretty ripper.
You know, and we fucking rip north. To be honest with you, like, you look back on it and you're like, all right, well, we didn't really sleep. No, but I just remember, like, I distinctly remember how fucking wild, like, it was like the greatest light show I'd ever fucking seen in my life. Like, and I described it as like when you see the American war machine fully committed, and it is really fucking powerful. It's almost like the closest thing that I could imagine to what the power of God, right? Like that's how fucking wild it was. Like how loud and big, like
nonstop, amazing,
nonstop. Like, and you know, we've been waiting, right? We were there. I don't know if you remember that, but we were co-located with there was a green on green. A guy, one of the 101st Airborne guys, came in and shot up a bunch of dudes, like inside one of the tents.
No shit.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever talked about this. We were there,
I don't think I know about
and then prior to the build up, right, the scuds are exchanging, and you're getting into your bunker and pulling on your pro mask, and they're like, "Fuck, man, like let's just get it on, like let's go." And you're still wearing your chem suit. Yeah. You're like trying to figure out if you're gonna get like, anthraxed or something like that, and you're like, let's get in the fucking vehicles, let's go, like, let's go. So as
put
soon
fate
as
in our own hands a little bit instead of sitting here like this.
Yeah. So I just remember very distinctly, like, let's stop fucking around, let's go. And so once we finally did go, we kept rolling until we got to south of Karbala. It's called the Karbala Gap. You remember that big sandstorm that came through and it basically stopped?
That was the night after the ambush I was in.
Yeah.
That was that night.
Yeah. We were in Karbala, and that's where, well, I mean, you remember Karbala. Yeah. So it's called the Karbala Gap as we're getting ready to key up to go into Najaf.
Yeah. And then converge on Baghdad.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were in Diwania.
Yeah.
We were just south of Diwania.
We were right there. Yeah. We were all,
we
were there.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, it's so funny. I went back to, I think it was my 10-year reunion. One of my buddies, Coleman Kinzer, he's a Marine. He was E6 at the time, I think. And we hadn't talked for years. Mm-hmm. And we met at our high school reunion. Basically, we just sat there and got fucking drunk and talked Iraq invasion stories, and that was like, and he was there too. He was Diwania, right around the same. He's probably the same part of the same guys you were rolling north with.
Was he with? He was in the Marine Corps. He said.
Yeah.
What who he was with?
I'll have to reach out to him and ask him who he's with. It's such a small world.
Yeah,
my other buddies like Michael Clancy. I don't know if you ever met him. He's like another 6'5" guy. They're both like 6'5". I'm like 5'0", but they were in the same platoon together. It's fucking small world.
What a random.
And then he went on to force, and then we worked together at the agency. And I was like, "Hey, random question, Mike. Do you ever run into this dude Coleman?" He's like, "Oh, fuck yeah, man! Like, I love that guy. He's awesome." I was like, and they called him, like FaceTimed him. It's like such a small world sometimes, but that whole build up, because you're like, you don't know. Like you're just expecting the unexpected. You're like, you remember, I don't know if you guys did this, but we were like putting sandbags on the inside of our vehicles because we were like, we don't know what the fuck, we're gonna get blown up. We had like sandbags in there or whatever. It's fucking stupid as shit. Like it's just so stupid.
Sandbag the floorboards.
Yeah,
it made the vehicles not too cumbersome to do anything with.
Like,
man.
And it's like thin skin vehicle.
Shit.
They're like freaking Swiss cheese. We're like pulling a trailer, and like, God, man, it was like, and it was wild. it's like the Wild West for us because we like got chopped out and went to the agency after that, and we were tasked out to the agency. So we didn't really fall under anyone. So nobody really kind of knew what to do with us. We're just like floating, figuring out what to do. So we're in Baghdad after everybody got to Baghdad, and we kind of converged on the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for orders. Like, where are we going to go? We going north? We going south? Where are we going to go? And I don't know. I remember that first morning we woke up on the airfield. You know, obviously we'd gone into Baghdad and like a series of other things were happening. Gone out to gone through the terminals and some of the other shit, and just like fucking tanks and Bradley fighting vehicles and all this shit everywhere. Shit everywhere. And I woke up, I'd kind of like taken a nap or whatever, right? And we were trying to figure out where the fuck we were, what we were doing. And one of the guys was doing maintenance on a Bradley, like, you know, they have the 25 millimeter, 20 millimeter cannon on it. I forget which. And they powered it down and then powered it back up, and it had a fucking ND right when this guy was walking in front. Like it was a coincidental, and it was like literally inches and seconds, like fractions of a second. Took half his head off. And we're just standing there, like, as this accident went down. And it was like the fucking amount of accidents that were happening, like in the crazy chaotic shit that was going on. Because the confusion and chaos of something like this, like, you know, to provide listener reference, is it's organized, but it's like organized chaos.
Yeah.
And it's organized chaos with extreme violence.
But funny enough though, it wasn't the higher up you got and looking down at different levels of like that's when it got more and more chaotic.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was chaotic at the individual level, but it wasn't like, oh man, it wasn't that messy. But when you look up 10 feet higher, then you get 50 feet higher, and you're looking down, you get 1,000 feet up looking at it. Just absolute chaos.
Absolute
man.
chaos.
Like, who's fucking this cat, man?
God. Do you take away, and have you taken away a lot of what I would say is lessons learned from that first? Do you index and reference those points that you distinctly remember from a leadership perspective today, and have those continued to follow you throughout your career?
All the time. All the time. And it's not, it's like you say, there's just specific points, specific index points that are big, right? There's a lot of points in between these big ones that you could go back to and I could think about and reflect on, but it's like, hey man, here's this big moment. Here's this big moment. Here's this big moment. And I go back to those all the time. And funny enough, it's like, hey, I don't want to ever be like that again.
Right.
Right. I don't want to do that again. I don't, which funny enough, right? Like there's plenty of really, really positive points that you could reflect back on, like, hey, I want to make sure I keep doing that, or I want to be like that, or I want to be like that. And I psychologically I understand the value and the importance and the power, right, of being able to do that. But I struggle a lot. I think a lot of us do, right, with these other points where, like you say, not regret, but I should have been better. I should have been better in that moment. I could have been better. And then what was keeping me from being better in that moment? Was it just young and naive? Was it ignorance? Was it arrogance? Was it ego? Yes. Whatever they are. But I got a few. And I get it, man. The power of going back to the really, really positive ones. And I think I can do that. I can do that if we were just sitting together and we could talk about the positive ones. But I tend to go right to a lot of room for improvement.
I think a lot of people do that. Like I think, we tend to dwell on the negative in a lot of circumstances. I mean, I think that can be a positive experience, but I also think that like finding the tools to overcome those is really important. Which is my question, which is like, how are you overcoming those? Like how have you worked through them?
I don't know if I'm every day I get better. I don't think I did it really well for a long time. I'm learning how to do it better. I've got a lot of great people in my corner. I've had to accept a lot of humility. And one of my big drivers is I see all these fucking egomaniacs out there that saturate the social media space. And it's not fair to judge them, so you don't judge them. But it's hard not to. But you find a theme of, hey, there's this guy that's always talking about how great he fucking is and how he's fucking so awesome and how he's doing this. It's like, I don't ever want to be that fucking way. You know what I mean? And I overcorrect because I'm so chicken shit to be that guy. I don't want to beat your own chest. I don't want to, I'm so chicken shit to become that entity that you don't respect. I think I overcorrect on the more of the self-doubt, self-deprecating, humble. I should have done better here. I should have done better. And it's not to say that I'm not proud of a lot of things or that I don't have ego. I'm not saying that at all, but I tend to be on this other side, and I'm working through that right now. I think there's room for balance, and I think I'm on the right side of the little fucking thing that sits in the middle, whatever that thing, the fulcrum, right? Like I'm far to the right, a little bit less far to the right than I used to be. I'm so scared to be far on the left, but I'm learning how to be in the middle. I started that nonprofit. I started the Big Fish Foundation selfishly enough, probably to help myself, right? It took me a while. I was out of the Marine Corps for 6-7 years. Struggled, didn't realize I was struggling, wanted to deny that I was struggling. Other people saw it. I was convincing enough to tell them that I wasn't, whatever. And then finally life deals you a couple things that, oh shit, get some help, come out of that with an epiphany moment. And it's like, hey, got a really good guy, Bill with Rogue Fitness, just encouraging me to start a nonprofit. And I started the nonprofit, and I don't know if I started it to help people or if I started it to help myself. And I don't know if it matters why I started it. The fact is that helping others and helping myself, and it's probably what's keeping me together right now, I think.
Where's the term big fish come from? Like what's the
that was just my call sign.
Oh.
That was just my call sign during the war, yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of people when we started the foundation, like, hey, what do we want to call this? And they thought it was a good idea and feels self-serving, but it means a lot to a lot of people, and it's a way of honoring those men. And so we just kept it. Yeah.
That's it. It makes more sense, and it actually provides context.
I get a lot of smart people that advise me, right? And an audience of them. You got to change the name of the foundation. If you have to spend time explaining what the name of the foundation is, it's time that you could be spending in other things. It's not saying it's right or wrong. It's just, and I'm like, yeah. And I see it. It's like, yeah, it'd be really cool to change the name of the foundation to something that wouldn't need explanation. But for a lot of people, when they're really, really proud to say, hey, big fish, and when you explain what it is, it's really powerful to them. So I don't know what's right or wrong. We're the Big Fish Foundation. It's not a fishing thing where you take veterans fishing.
No, it's not. I knew that, but I wanted to make sure that we
I still answer emails all the time. It's like, hey, I'd like to sign up for a fishing trip.
No, it's not the what we do. I gotta ask, knowing you and kind of listening to you and talking to you, when you received the Silver Star, what was that something how does that change, or does it change anything, or does it make you Like, what's that feel like, I guess, like in the context of like emotionally and psychologically, like, because obviously it can be a reminder of a pretty fucking bad day.
Yeah. It was a Navy Cross.
Oh, I apologize.
It's okay. No apologies. And it was when I was awarded the Navy Cross, I was at a certain age, psychological development, maturity. You're the product of your own successes, you know, you feel invincible, you're fucking whatever. You're on your high, you know? And I think, as much as I was aware and I had good mentors, you know, hey, be careful, this or that, you know, all the things that come with receiving a high award and the attention and this and that. And you think you're protecting yourself against it. Like, I didn't do it as well as I thought I was, right? Like, this growth, this is the luxury of time, being able to look back 15 years, 20 years, right? I don't know how many years, 15 years. Close to 20 years. 2004, 2003 was when the action took place, awarded in 2004. 20 years already, man.
20 years.
But looking back, you're like, oh man. But you don't judge yourself. It's like, hey, you were 28 years old, 30 years old. Like, it's going to affect you those certain ways. It could have affected you worse. You were managing it. And so I think it did have an impact on me in a negative pull. It did have a lot of good, but I think it affected me.
You mean in from an ego perspective, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be a good person if I didn't like acknowledge that. Yeah, like putting that level of award on your chest didn't do something to you.
Right.
I'm not proud to say that it did, but I'm also like balanced and level enough to recognize, yeah, it did. And then amongst a lot of other things too, right? Like everybody just like talks about the Navy Cross because that's what's on the news or the Wikipedia page or whatever. But it's like there was so many other things, and that whether we're recognized or not by an official capacity, but like the men in the audience that you're surrounded with, right? Like that ambush was gnarly, but I could give you 15, 20 other things that were twice, if not three times as gnarly as that ambush, you know? And you have those things with the guys that you shared them with, and it starts to build. You've studied, you're well-read, right? Like, you know history and shit, like Napoleon on the Eastern Front, and they call it the victor's disease, right? Who Napoleon, and they named this disease after this guy. And basically Napoleon was so successful. He's the product of his own success, in that he's successful, he's able to defeat odds because the momentum of success is carrying him through these odds, right? And it's doing shit to him. And he gets all signs are pointing, don't go east in the winter against Russia. Everything. And he's smart enough and he can calculate and he recognizes it logically. It's funny, we're going back to what we talked about a couple minutes ago, but like logically it all computes, but it doesn't, because of his own success, that he goes east anyways and he gets the shit kicked out of him and he kills millions of people, right? Like, how does that process work? I'm not putting myself on any playing field with Napoleon, but I'm saying that somewhere along the line, I started becoming a product of my success, and success started happening because of the success, not because of the talent or the skill.
Right.
And you became more and more successful, and you did things, and you could take chances and risk it, and it pays out good, and it pays out good, and it keeps paying out good, and you're empowering other people because they believe in your success, and so then they rise to the occasion, and you're more successful. I don't know where I was fortunate enough to be with Pat Millay in Fallujah, and he was my battalion commander, and I remember him. It was after we had secured MSR Michigan. I was supposed to be in Quantico. I wasn't even supposed to be in Fallujah. But he's like, hey, Tosh, I think you've had enough. And I was like, yeah, no, Pat. Like, you know, like, he's like, no, I think for your own good, but for the good of the men, for the good of, like, you've had enough. You got to go. And I remember how bitter I was in that moment. There was other things, right? Like General Natansky, and I was supposed to be at Quantico, whatever. And I was pissed, angry. And it isn't until recently, in the last maybe 6-7 years, you know, thinking about it, talking with Pat, like that was the best gift he ever could have given me and the men that I loved, was recognizing, right? So back to your thing, like, where did it all start? I don't know. Was it the Navy Cross? Did that start? The process probably started somewhere earlier than that. and it just keeps manifesting. And I was just so fortunate to have a man in my life who was my boss, my mentor, good friend, brother, who said, hey, that's enough, man. Call you on your own bullshit. Instead of being in this little circle of self-licking ice cream cones and giving each other blowjobs, right? Like, everybody wants to be in that little circle, right? Everybody wants to have their collection of 5 dudes that never calls you on your bullshit. In fact, they acknowledge your bullshit, so they make it real, and then you start believing your own bullshit because you're going to help him believe his own bullshit. Yeah. Nobody's going to call you because if I call you on your bullshit, you're going to call me on mine, and then the cards start falling in.
Yeah, I call it drinking your own piss.
Yeah.
You can do it a couple times, but eventually it starts to make you sick and it'll kill you. Like, that's what I literally was like, it's fucking drinking your own piss.
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
And there's a lot of guys that do it.
Like, a lot of little groups, little boy clubs, little boy bands. And I was good. Pat probably, like Pat, like he just said, hey, you've had enough, man. So I don't know where that whole conversation came from, but it was like, did the award of the Navy Cross start to affect me? Yeah, it did, in ways that you don't realize it when it's happening, and it's not until farther down the road as you mature, as you grow up, as time travel happens, and you can look back and you're like, oh, shit. And I don't even think I could point back to the exact moment it started happening, but I can point back and say, yeah, it certainly did. And I'm super cautious about that to this day, probably to my own fault.
I think you're right. I mean, I've told this story a lot, right? It's like I got fired from the agency. It was great. I mean, you know, I was an asshole. I was a complete and utter asshole. Like, I was drinking my own piss. I was like, send me to the worst places in the world. I do the most complex shit. I'm fucking great, you know? And then, yeah, you suck. You know, didn't have anything to do other than like, it's like, you know, a lot of ego, a lot of drinking my own piss, you know, like I'm the smartest guy in the world and I'm the brightest guy here. I know better than everybody else, and like, just not true. It's just like, so when you know, get humbled, like, and I think it's really good for a lot of, like, I mean, it's kind of like being the new guy, right? It's like you get to a team, you're the new guy, you're the F&G, you get the shit kicked out of you. Eventually, your confidence back, you start building your way up. But it was good. It was a great, humbling perspective in life because it was like you know, Green Beret, work with the agency, and then you start like believing your own bullshit, you know. And I'm like, I don't believe my own bullshit anymore, right? It's like, nah, it's okay. I can like have real conversations with myself and have, I think, an objective reality. And I think now one of the things I go back to, which I'm extraordinarily grateful, is like for the Marine that gave it to me. I forget exactly who it was. It's like I go back to the old breed like every other year.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it's like, man, that puts things in a perspective in a way, like whether it's, you know, Helmet for My Pillow or the old breed or some of these other combat memoirs. I think Matterhorn is another really good one that was written in Vietnam by an Army guy. And because I'm caught in my own world, right? I'm caught in my own world. We have a generation of warfighters that were Iraq and Afghanistan. We kind of like see it from a different perspective. But then when you read those, which I think are required reading in the Marine Corps, right?
Yeah, E.B. Like, Sledge, the old breed is for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like those guys had a really difficult time. And like and knowing that he's translating his experience into the written page, I'm only getting a portion of what it actually felt like. And like having the dexterity and the emotional empathy from like other war perspectives too, because, you know, you had a different war than I did, you know, like the private that was 18 years old that just got out of, you know, boot camp or, you know, basic training in AIT, like they were scared out of their fucking mind. I was 26 years old, dude. Like I was a grown man. Like I was
You got
grown
some life
man.
experience behind you still. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
You know what's
going through
fascinating about that book, real quick, just to interrupt
Please.
you because I don't want to be a dick, but look at the difference between how that book is written and the image of himself that he talks about vice the books that are written today.
that. Oh yeah.
These guys that are writing these books today, they blow themselves. I'm the fucking, I was the greatest. I was this, I was that. This is my experience. I'm such a fucking this. I'm such a fucking that. Right. I get frustrated with it. You read EB's book, you read a lot of the books from that generation. They talk like, hey, I was just a shitbird. I was just an idiot. I wasn't the great, like I was just this, I was like, there's something very refreshing about the character of the person who's portraying himself in a lot of those books, vice what we get today. And man, if I want to tell my son like, hey, I want you to read a couple books because I want it to have a positive imprint on who you're going to be as a man. I don't want you reading any of this shit.
Yeah.
There might be one or two, and we're not going to say their names. They know who they are, right? Like they're part of the self-licking ice cream cone band, right? They're drinking each other's piss. Like that drives me. I do not want, like the best people you could ever be around you is somebody that loves you enough to tell you the hard things, to keep you honest, to keep you grounded, right? Like that's who I want to be around. You know, I've already fucked it up. I've already fucked it up in my life too many times, right? In our world, that's gotten people killed.
Yeah.
You know? So,
like, does that weigh on you a substantial amount? Like
more than I think it does. I was using this a conversation. I'm going through some shit, VA stuff, but I went through the hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and it allowed me to like step aside from the shadow. I didn't even realize I was living in a shadow, right? Like you live in a shadow for so long, it's your new norm. It's like it's just a little darker, it's a little dimmer. Maybe it's even getting darker. You don't even realize it, right? It's not like you're living in I'm living in a shadow. And it wasn't until I finished this hyperbaric treatment, I was given this luxury, and it's like, hey, I'm standing outside the shadow now. And I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, I was standing in that and I can still see. And I don't ever want that shadow to disappear. I want to stand. I need the juxtaposition of being outside of it, right? I'm standing outside of the shadow to recognize that there was a shadow there, and that's who I was. And when you're in the shadow, you don't realize how much it's weighing on you. And I can only think like, I think I'm outside the shadow, but am I actually even in another fucking shadow? It's just a different shade. Will I get some more treatment, or will I get a different perspective, or will I have another conversation with somebody that's given me some wisdom that'll help me step even farther and then realize where I'm, you know what I mean? So I think, and it wasn't until that treatment that I realized that I'm not a computer guy, but you know, I don't know if it's, what's the that's always working in the background.
Software,
Is it RAM or ROM or something like that, right? Whatever the fuck it is. And you got only so much that you can use. And it's like, I feel like somebody just took my computer and opened up the magic screen and said, you've got like these 7 applications running in the background that you have no idea. No wonder why your computer's running slow. No wonder why like Excel's not doing computations correctly. No wonder why the website's not opening. You've got all these programs that are running in the background. And it wasn't until that finishing that treatment that I was able to recognize that I've got those applications running in the background, and then being able to resource the right people to help me shut those fucking applications down, to run some antivirus software to get that thing should not be running in the background. Hey, that thing is running in the background, but let's be aware of it and let's use it. Like, cause there's some of this stuff that's running in the background that's important, you know, guild, but it's running in the background in a bad way. We need to figure out how to use it in the right way. And so, I think that's my life right now, and trying to help other veterans recognize that and get them aligned with the resources, because I don't know too many other people that are talking about it this way. And it connects with a lot of veterans that are struggling. It doesn't connect with other groups of veterans, and that's okay. Yeah. Right? Like, that's fine. Then you don't need it. But the fact that it's connecting with this group, then that's the audience I want to serve, because it's setting the conditions to grow through this, you know?
Yeah. The last several years, because I was in a different subculture of older guys, mainly, that were like, we didn't have a lot of privates, right? And there wasn't a lot of privates cruising around in our lives. And having the business has allowed me a different look into the war and the different war perspective of younger war fighters that I didn't have. I just didn't have the context. Like I've had more context with like Afghans and Iraqis and things like that because I didn't have E1 through, E5. And the struggle that a lot of the younger guys face that might have only done, 4 to 6 years, maybe got a couple rotations, but those are brutal rotations. And part of me is like, there's a hypothesis too in the context of like you have a younger brain that's not fully developed, it's not fully baked. So you have an 18, 19-year-old kid that's exposed to extreme violence, but then it's also all the things that go along with that, right? Because it's not just extreme violence, right? It's extreme stress and fatigue and all the different emotional and psychological pressures that go along with that. And I really find myself with this profound amount of empathy and also like a desire to really try to plug in and try to solve a problem, right? Like that's like huge part. Like, how do I solve the problem? Which is, this whole thing is about leading by example. I'm not very good at like, I should say like I'm not going to be on podiums trying to give motivational speeches, but if people can go out and like start a business and free themselves from working from others and like, emancipate themselves from government service, well, I'll lead by example. I'll be the guinea pig, It's fine. I'm good with that. But I think like our commitment to the younger guys that were there and our commitment to ourselves, like we can't, like it's still a team, right? It's like we have this like shared experience. So as I look into your eyes and hear your stories, I know what that feels like. Like I know what it feels like. And like that's my tribe. Part of guilt is also, I think, the fuel that you need to drive the inertia of good. So it's like part of it is like I'll put that on the software that I already know exists so I can keep driving in the right direction. It can't just be about me, right? It's like that's fucking stupid. Like it's it's not altruistic in its entire endeavor, right? It's like it's selfish because I need it.
It's okay. It's okay that some of it is about you. The two can coexist, right? But it's not just about you, right? And it's not the majority, it's just about you. And I'm learning that the two can coexist. It's not a one or the other, right? Like you just said, like it's not entirely altruistic. But man, is it 90%? Is it 95? Is it 87? I don't know. But the power of the word "and" reconciles a lot for me right now.
Do you read philosophy, or do you like think about philosophy? Do you read the Bible? Like,
think about it.
Religious or?
I'm not religious. I believe in the message. I believe in the spirit of it all. I haven't been reading a lot because my ability to comprehend and stuff and retain is I'm healing. So
right.
But there's just so much work out there that's just beautiful. I want to read more. I spend a lot of time thinking, a lot of time talking to other people, and it's like, hey, if you're super well read, and then we're having conversation, I'm benefiting from your synthesis of what was well read. And to me, that's easier. Maybe that's the easy way out, but it works for me to hear like people that I respect and appreciate, and even people that I don't, like to hear how they've synthesized stuff that they've read. Like it's all information coming in. I spend a lot of time, maybe too much time, digesting all that.
Yeah, what are you listening to? Like, what's your go-to?
My own bullshit right now. Yeah, my own bullshit. I can't stop thinking about my own bullshit. That's the curse. I wanted to. I'm doing this to you. I apologize.
Please.
So you talk about like, it's the ordinary guys.
Yeah.
Ordinary guys and gals. These 18-year-olds that they go in, they enlist, right? I refer to them as the hoopleheads. I've always called them hoopleheads after the the Deadwood miniseries,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
love
yeah.
Swearingen and calling them
Yeah.
this is fucking and they hated it, right? Like it was an insult, but it was a term of endearment.
Yeah.
You're fucking hoopleheads. Well, like think about this for a minute. Like your special forces, your special operators, your team guys, whatever, right? Like phenomenal. They're really real talented, right? Like they go through screening processes, they get screened, their aptitudes are here, generally speaking. They have more capacity, more faculty, right? You go in and now you're a team guy, you're a special forces dude, right? And then you get hundreds of millions of dollars of phenomenal fucking training. And it increases you and makes because and rightfully so, it's preparing you to do these exceptional things, right? And then when you get out, you have the benefit of the prestige of that, right? And then you have the sexiness of that, but then you also have all the skills and the training to go along with your original aptitude, right? And so this is no insult to anybody in any sphere, and I'm not just trying to be safe. Like you're here. A lot of the hoopleheads that I've served with that I love, right? They join. Let's face it. Typically you're not the smartest, most talented individual to make the minimum requirements to be an infantry guy in the Marine Corps, right? In fact, you probably have a set of waivers, right? And this is true for all the other things, right? But generally speaking, you have that. And now you have nowhere near the budget to get the quality of the training, the this or that, to build the little faculty that you have to even greater, but you have it. And then when you get out, well, let's even talk about when you're in. Because of the nature of the role, like these hoopleheads are like the experience that we had at the ground level in Iraq, much different than at the team level. You're living in a fighting hole that you dug by hand for 30 days before the war, right? You're sleeping, if you even sleep, in the seat of your Humvee or laying on the ground in the sand. Like you don't have so it's a different, much more primitive. And with that, it has its own unique sets of stresses, requirement. Not to say that the other, that has their own unique sense of stresses and things like that, but they're two different beasts, you know? And then when these guys get out, these guys and the gals get out after 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, the professional network they have is a lot smaller. Their skills that they've been developed and nurtured and trained aren't as, and they struggle, right? And they're struggling. And then when you look across the board, who's getting the most money to help veterans after they get out? It's not the ordinary line hoopleheads, right? It's these when you can do a gala and raise $12 million in one night, or you have a budget that's fucking $60 million a year, right? That's awesome. But you have a lot of marketing power. You have a lot of other things behind that corner, and that's what America wants to do, right? Like because you have the ability to market that, and it's sexy, and it's right. It's just I'm in this space where I'm recognized. Like I don't know what the number is. Make up a fucking number, right? Like there's probably 15 times as many people down here as there are in that place, but they have 100 times the amount of money and resources made available, right? Whatever the numbers are, but and that's where I'm energized. And it's not, I don't want to compete with that. I don't want to fight that. I don't want to point fingers at that at all. I just want to fill a gap.
Right. I
want to collaborate in ways that can fill this gap down here. The stuff that we talked about, it's the fucking guys. Not that anybody wasn't on the ground, but it's these men. It's like that guy never should have been in the Marine Corps in the first place. Yeah. I don't know who faked that fucking paperwork to even get this guy enlisted. He never should have been in the Marine Corps, and now he's in Arlington. You know what I mean? And God, man, these beautiful bastards and what they're struggling with, and it's like, hey, all this guy needs is $500 to pay his fucking rent.
Right.
Like, here's $500, man. Just here it is, right out of my bank. Like, meanwhile, this organization's got $60 million, but you're a fucking shithead, right? You got a bad conduct discharge, but you're still a human being. But you don't get access to this source of this funds or these programs because you got bad paper, and you were a 19-year-old shithead that was put into incredibly challenging situations and stresses that you weren't probably even psychologically developed to be able to handle and process anyways yet. But that's the nature of war. That's the nature of business. And no shit, you made a bad decision. And so for 10, we're gonna hold it against you for 10 years, 15 years. And so in one bad decision, you're gonna have to live the rest of your fucking life when you were put in exceptional circumstances. Now, I'm not trying to erase the past. I'm still gonna hold you accountable for it, but we're not gonna fucking hold it against you. Mm-hmm. And let's help you. And that's where my fight is. Because I know I was an idiot. I was a dipshit lieutenant who made a lot of bad decisions. And I can only imagine that, a lot of people from higher up looking at, hey, that's bad apple, that's a bad apple. But I was given a second chance. And I came out of those second chances, those second chances. Largely, was it due to the Navy Cross? Maybe. Was it due to success building up? Like we talked about, success allows you to overcome these things that you shouldn't have. I'm this unique individual, and I don't ever want to lose sight of that. I don't ever want to lose sight that my feet are in the fucking mud. Mm-hmm. And I've got a lot of luxury, a lot of opportunity. The fact that I'm sitting here on a podcast with you, like I've got all this opportunity. There's so many people that I want to share these opportunities with. The fact that I can get hyperbaric treatment and get accepted to this program, it's like, I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate. I don't ever want to take that for granted. And how can I give it to 5 others? How can I give it to 2 others? How can I borrow $10,000 to give it to 5 others? Like, I don't care whatever, but my feet are in the mud still. And I think that's what drives me today. I don't know if it's healthy or not healthy, but that's where I'm at, maybe 10 years down the road, I'll be looking at myself saying, man, you were foolish back then. And you know what? I hope so. I hope 10 years from now, I'm looking back saying, hey, you were better than you were 20 years ago, but you're still foolish, because that means I'll have grown over the next 10 years, Well,
it's a very, I think it's a very healthy thing. And ultimately it's philosophically positive for people to say, I think that's a Socrates quote, which is like, I always like to pull this back, which is Socrates was an infantryman. And it's interesting that the father of Western philosophy was ultimately a 20-year infantry guy, right? Where he's like, the one thing I know is I know nothing. So I think it's good.
Didn't you just I think the Black Rifle just had an Instagram post on a Socrates quote today or yesterday, actually.
Probably.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot of philosophy, and I think I think it's very profound. I mean, for most of us now, especially like, we're getting close to 50. We're like, a lot of us aren't drinking our own piss anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think the point that you're making from the special operations community and then the rest of the war fighters, I've had a ton of access to people that weren't just from the special operations community, but the war fighter. Mm-hmm. And the war fighter in general, it's younger, right? It's not as old, it's not as developed. The nonprofits associated with helping the war fighters, there's a great marketing apparatus around the special operations community, and then the endowments associated with them. And there's like, obviously the Navy SEALs do a great job at marketing. They do a great job of hosting, very big events that raise a lot of money, because, civilians want to be attached to that, right? They see the marketing, and they see, the trident, and they want to be close to it. They want to be close to the operators.
And it doesn't make it bad either.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make it bad or wrong. And it's just what it is.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the last several years, I've seen this where, if we work with a lot of different organizations, and then we have several folks that might not have been in special operations, but they've got, 2 missing legs, and their combat experience is no different. It was physically more traumatic, and ultimately it's not any different. You're exchanging gunfire in a 2-way range. It's the same feeling I have. It's the same feeling that Private E1 had. And I think that shared experience, it also requires like, man, we really do have to talk about it. I think it's also one of those things that it's cathartic. It's also like part of this existential crisis as guys like evolve and try to redefine their purpose and ultimately plug in and create value, because this stuff's given to us in the military. It's like, here's your mission, here's your purpose, here's the definition of your professional being is built in through your MOS and or your position as like platoon or company or battalion commander. And then now you're a civilian and you've got all this like shit in your rearview mirror that is directly contributing to your success that's in front of you as well, because you got a ton of baggage that a lot of people just, it can be fuel, right? But it can also hold you back. And I think a lot of the civilian counterparts that are roughly our same age, they don't have a lot of the same guilt associated with this. Like, it's not the same guilt. Like it's just not. It's because I've heard this multiple times too, where guys are like, I should have served. That's not the same type of guilt that you and I probably carry around on a regular basis. And it's not equally shared. It's also, we're not equally yoked from the context of, it's not as if there's a big equalizing machine out there that says we're going to equally fund nonprofit initiatives based on who actually needs the funding. It's not necessarily like that either. Right?
I don't think there should be a great equalizing thing.
No.
That's just government anyways. But
I think the equalizing thing is
this.
this.
Conversation and understanding and having some empathy and appreciation, mutual respect, right? Deflate some ego, whatever it is. Like we're all, it's just all good conversation to have. It's essential to have the conversation at a minimum, right?
What do you, kind of shifting away from that, what's your, like, you're kind of a beast physically, right? I mean, you just rode across the Atlantic. Like, you put out so much physical energy. Like, how are you sustaining that? Like as just like your body? Like, I'm asking this only from like, a physical and mental health perspective. It's like, dude, do you just like push through fucking pain walls every day just to get shit done? Or
yeah, I think I'm physically in a decline.
You think?
Yeah, for sure. But and you know what? I do a lot of self-help now, right? Like working with people. Like I'm recognizing that I might need to can we get one of them happy little pouches you got right there. Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm not on a decline. I'm in a phase change.
Okay.
I've started to look at it like this. I've started to look at it as seasons. We're at a point in our life now. It's funny. I did I was up at Heroes and Horses.
Oh yeah.
Did an event there. We
co-produced an event. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, great guy.
Big Fish partnered with Heroes and Horses, and we did an event for some veterans. And I went through the saunas and the cold tubs, and wow, the first time I had ever done that, right, back and forth. But then we went into that Lakota sweat lodge, and man, I had an experience in there.
Seriously?
Yeah. Oh, legit. And I was skeptical, a healthy skepticism, an open skepticism, and it wasn't working. And then all of a sudden, like, bang, I had an experience. So many things pulling together. And the owl and the moose came to me, right? The owl is the keeper of time in the changing of the seasons and the keeper of time, right? And the moose is this wisdom, this physical, but the big bull moose represents a phase change, right? And so I'm realizing that, my spring was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. My summer was 15 years ago, right? I'm in my fall now. I'm going, and it's like this phase change, recognizing that I'm transitioning from summer to fall. And I feel like where I've struggled in the last 2-3 years with chasing goals and identity and this and that, and where I want to be, what I want to do, decisions that I'm making to do certain things. I was actually this Indian summer trying to hold on, right? It's supposed to be fall. It's the middle of October. But for some reason, I'm trying to be an Indian summer, and it's a gorgeous day, and it's like, hey, that's a fool's play. Like, but it's natural and normal. I need to embrace that I'm in the fall now. And I'm no less strong. I'm no less me. It's just an evolution. And I'm evolving, and my physical strength isn't represented by these things like it was in the summer or the spring. your strength is represented by these things that are indicative of the fall. And anyway, you could probably think on it more than I can articulate right now, but, yeah, my body is in its fall and it's changing, but my strength and my perspective it's this phase change, and yeah, I just rode across the ocean. I wasn't in the best physical shape of my life, but I think I performed better than I have in most things of recent years in my life during that row. I just undertook the Rogue Fitness's December challenge called the Standard 24 Hours, and I'm not in the best. I hadn't rowed in over a year after getting off that rowboat, and I just sat down on a rower and rowed for 24 hours. It's not because I'm physically stronger or anything like that. It's something's changing, and I'm learning to recognize and accept this thing. But yeah, up at Micah's place in the sauna, and then I break down in the middle of the sauna. I have to leave the sauna early. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I jump in the cold plunge, and I stand up out of the cold plunge early. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then we do it again the next day. And I got a little bit, and the next thing you know, the third day, we're in the Lakota Sweat Lodge. This isn't working. Hey, we're going to do a fifth door. Like, hey, this isn't working. All of a sudden, like, boom. Like this experience, things that I had locked away and put in a steel container in concrete, underwater, right? Like, came out. And it was this one moment that came out that I had been convincing myself didn't exist anymore, that didn't matter anymore, whatever. And I had this flashback to the ambush. And it came out in this sweat lodge, totally unexpected, not what I was even in there to do, not even intention setting, what I thought I was going to do. And bang, this thing comes out. And the shaman actually starts coughing and vomiting. And I wasn't aware until afterwards we talked about what was going on, right? And he didn't even know that I was going through this. And he's coughing and he's vomiting and he's spitting into the hot rocks and boom, 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 boom. And then I was fucking, and right as that was happening, I was burnt. I felt like I was going to instantly like incinerate, like just like I was going to go up in flames. Like I felt like that was happening to my body. And then when he started coughing and everything, all of a sudden my body got really, really cool. And it was like 200 degrees in this fucking sweat lodge.
Right.
And I'm a skeptic going in, a healthy skeptic, right? Yeah. Like, hey, whatever. And my experience in there wasn't unique. There was 15 other people in this, and they were all having degrees of the same similar experience. And mine was just that much more visceral for me. But then we get done with the lodge, and they explain some things, and the next thing you know, the shaman's assistant's talking about the moose and the owl. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, there's so many things in my life over the last 2-3 months leading up to this with a moose and an owl coming to you in various ways, and you don't even realize it. It's happening to you unconsciously, subconsciously. Mm-hmm. But then in that sweat lodge, it all happened. And then during the cool down, he said, hey, like, just so you know, this is what was going on. Because in between the doors is coming in and out of the sweat lodge 5 times. And then the last door was to seal up and heal and call in, whatever. And in between the last door and the healing door, he's explaining that he was coughing because he felt this thing in the room, right? It's pitch black in there. You can't see, right? The glow of the rocks. But he felt this thing, and somebody was releasing it, and it was in the air, and so he grabbed it. And this is what he learned. I mean, he's been doing this for 20, 30 years, this shaman shit. And then what he does is it's inside, and he pulls it in so that it's out of view, and then he spits it and burns it up into the fire. And then he's explaining, and I'm just like, holy shit. That is exactly what happened. He wasn't aware of what I was, and I never talked to him about it. He just offered that up, and what an experience, man. I don't know why we're talking about that, but that was a big fish event that we did with 15, 16 other veterans, and I'm trying to do it for others. I'm trying to create this experience for others, but I'm the one benefiting from it as well. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know? But,
ever
do anything like that?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about it on our last show, like a few years ago. So when I came back from Iraq, the Nez Perce Indian tribe actually did a powwow for me. I grew up next to them, and went out with them, and there's a warrior reception ceremony, and they had a multiple day event, and I've been very close to them, like hence like I have a Appaloosa and a Nez Perce Indian on like a giant painting on my wall in my kitchen. Like it's very, very close to where I grew up. And, no, I'm not like, I'm a healthy skeptic too, but there's something about tradition. There's something about like generations of warfighters and people understanding like reception and you know, the psychological and emotional, and then ultimately, I think the generational component to this has been learned through thousands of years and repetitions, and how to heal that you can't discount. And for me, like, you know, one of the biggest problems I had was, you know, through rep after rep and years of doing what I was doing, I didn't have like emotional capacity. Like I had inadvertently turned myself into basically a sociopath. It was like really hard. Like psychologically, it's very difficult. And my first daughter was born. You know, it's supposed to be like the most meaningful moment of your life. And couldn't feel anything. And I was like, well, it's not me. It's not the way I grew up. My dad was a very positive influence. I grew up in a very loving family. And, you know, I didn't come from like a broken home where people like put cigarettes out on me or anything. I just came from a good family. It wasn't me. What the fuck? So like, part of like coming home for me is I spent a lot of time, like I rode a river in the middle of fucking Idaho. I spent like months on this river.
The salmon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
Yeah. And I was looking up in the mountains, and I had realized it's the first time in my life I'm looking up in these mountains, and it's not the first time in my life I could look at it in my adult life and not think about where the fuck this is going to kill me. Like I was just looking at it. I was like laying in this field looking up at the mountains going like, wow, that's beautiful. And I remember like that point where I was like, this is beautiful. It's amazing. But it's the first time that I'd looked up at the mountains, like just in appreciation and awe, and
not calculating,
like, not calculating, like where the fuck is, like where is this going to come from? Where is this going to come from? Like what's going on? And it took me months of like isolation, no technology, of just like fucking pushing a oar in a boat down a river to just get myself out of this. And it was like a cycle of things, and I still had to work on it quite a bit. And I took some psilocybin a few years ago, and it was somewhat life-changing because I'd realized like through this experience that I'd had, there are all these different things in your life that you just, 20 years of talk therapy could not have done like one session. Yeah. And you're like, holy shit. Okay, I kind of understand. And I just kind of put the pieces back together. It's like almost within a 3.5 hour period. And I was like, fuck. Okay, well, the context and understanding to giving myself a little bit of leeway, like, you know, having that experience and being able to go, well, I'm not completely broken, because it's a compounding element, because you're like, if I'm not feeling anything, something is wrong, and there's something wrong with me, and you get into this like downward spiral of negativity around yourself versus going, I'm all right. Like, I'm going to be okay. Like, and then I can have the capacity to love and connect in with people and my wife and my kids, and be, a good father, a good business leader, just cut myself some slack. And it was a very life-changing moment. And those were like series of events that were like leading up to that, where I would say there's like very spiritual moments that have helped me definitively accelerate like the homecoming, and then ultimately being able to reconnect in with people. Because it wasn't easy. Like, everything was about, mission. Everything's about success. Everything's about accomplishing said goal. It's not how do we slow the clock down and really get dexterity with things that are going to provide emotional fulfillment. I don't know. Yeah, I've had a few of those moments where I'm like, okay, I think my dad and I have a really good relationship. I spent a lot of time with him today. I just took him to Mexico. I think I was telling you about that. And like, he's an old logger, right? It's like he's probably one of the more times. Yeah, he's like a stoic guy.
Yeah.
Like, my grandfather was in a B-24 Liberator. He's like one of the most influential people in my life. Like, he was probably one of the most emotionally giving people in my life when I was a kid until I was 18 when he passed away. So I have really good templates, right? Mm-hmm. I can look back and say these are people who are really close to me and my family, and they were not fucking assholes.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what you're referencing, where I've had like these very big moments where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not totally fucking broken, and I can actually start to recover some of my lost self. And when I say that, it's like when you're a kid, I don't know what your childhood was like.
Similar to yours, just good,
good,
solid family, good loving mentors. Had a lot of phenomenal templates.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was emotionally, psychologically, mentally developed enough to recognize that they were the good templates to latch onto and read the fucking instructions or listen to them, Yeah. And I'm so grateful that at least I have the faculty today to look back and recognize that they were good templates, and now spend time trying to read those manuscripts and learn from them. I wish it would have been 20 years sooner, but at least it's not 20 years later.
I don't think we have. Like, I think it's part of the process, right? I don't think we have the like when we're growing, and I mean there are a few people out there that are obviously special, and they can have proper context, and they can intellectually and emotionally digest these things earlier. But for most of us, I think we build the scaffolding and then go through the phases of this, and we have to like deconstruct and rebuild and deconstruct and rebuild. We have to go through those process, because there's no fucking way 26-year-old Evan would have listened to anything 47-year-old Evan would have to say. There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
I would have told myself, like, shut the fuck up.
And that doesn't mean that 47-year-old Evan shouldn't still be telling 26-year-old Evan the same exact things anyways, whether he can listen or not.
Yeah.
There's a great quote out there, like, be the voice that you needed to hear when you were 18.
Right.
I'm ripping that quote. It's not perfect, but you know the sentiment of it. And we're all on our own different growth timelines. Everybody.
And
we're all going through our own different growth timelines and uniquely different scenarios. It's messy, but it's beautiful.
And that's for me, I think that's where the redefined purpose in some of this has been, is like, I have to have a purpose, right? I'm a pre-built, and I think that's like something that we all have to have. We have to have purpose. We have to have mission, especially like people like us that have been indoctrinated over fucking decades of things.
I think we over-identify with needing it now, right? We all need it, but I think people like us, our community, we start to over-identify to needing it more than we really do, but we still need it. Would you agree?
Yeah, because purpose for me, like in the evolutionary circumstance, that's what it is. Like, that's the purpose, which is, how do I find out more? How do I continue to go out and help the community? I have quite literally a very, very simple tree of organization structure and give back. Right? It's really easy. It's like, you have to be self-aware. It's a triage circumstance, which is you have to be mentally and physically capable of providing care to others. So it's self-aid, buddy aid, right? And then that triage of care needs to go where I wasn't very good at it for a huge percentage of my life, which was like, take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And then it's like myself, my family, my business, my community, right? So it's like, just keep plugging in and trying to create as much value throughout that chain as I can. And the only way I can do that is like making sure that I'm very purpose-driven in that. And it has to be bigger than me. Like, the whole fucking thing, like this is like, I've said this for a while, like, it ain't about me anymore.
Yeah.
Right? This is not about me. This is about like, how, can I give to my wife? Can I give to my kids? Can I give to the community? Can I give to the company in the way that's like very beneficial? And, you know, it's like the community is everything. Like I have this like, incredible desire to, and from my priorities of execution, it's like the community is everything. Like it's everything. It's like what I owe my life, what I owe anything that I have is back to the people that you know, I'm here because of them, right? It's like I have all my fingers and toes. That's fucking pretty amazing. So it's like I got to figure out ways I can give back all the time. How do you give back? And it's not just money, right? It's how do you have those conversations with, you know, possibly the 18-year-old Evan or, you know, Tosh at 18 years old? How do you have those conversations now and get ahead of it? And then how do you help guys too that are our age that might be struggling, that haven't been able to rebuild the scaffolding as fast or tear it down and reconstruct it? And maybe they've been built to, you know, like I spent a lot of time with guys that they spend a lot of time in units where they just get to fucking drink their own piss every day and they get to talk about how great they are. And then pretty soon they get out and they're like, fuck,
I'm not so great.
Not so great. And like, that's part of like developing a protocol. Like, how do you fucking help? How do you triage? Like, how do you work on your, you know, like time? Time's everything we have. Like for you, I mean, man, I've had such a, like, since we first met, like I've had a ton of respect for what you've done, because you do it with an aura of humility and quiet professionalism that I think is like very indicative of good leadership.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It's incredible. I mean, it really is. And just hearing like over the last couple hours, like just hearing like how passionate and committed this is. Like, this is exactly what I thought it would be, if not way better.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that means a lot. It's hard. Like, I think where I'm growing is like just thinking about what you said. Community is everything. But it's also in this triage piece, and very early, same process. You like whatever the names are, but boom, boom, boom. It's like, hey, I want to pour into that. I'm constantly putting my fuel nozzle into that tank, and then struggling with the guilt that I need to put my fuel nozzle in this tank up here. It feels self-serving, but recognizing that has to have the fuel nozzle in it too, and it doesn't make you bad. The fact that you're having this conversation and that it's so hard to put your fuel nozzle into your own tank, that self-care, I fucked that up. I fucked that up until I stopped fucking it up. And I remember when I decided to stop doing that, and I was in the Army Sergeant Major's office at the VA when my world was crumbling. In the shadow, not realizing in the shadow, you think I'm handling everything fine. And you are. The fact that you're having to handle everything that you have going on is actually the problem. You've got all those programs running in the background that are sucking resources from you, and then life is going to throw you something, and you don't have the computing power to be able to do that, and then things start to crumble. And I'm sitting in this Army Sergeant Major's office, and I broke down, and that's when I realized, like, hey, I'm not Mr. Invincible. I'm not all of this. I'm not all of that. I'm actually, even though I'm trying so hard not to believe my own bullshit, suck my own dick, drink my own piss, whatever, like, I'm still doing it. I'm just blind to the ways that I'm doing it because I'm paying so much attention to these ways, and I'm trying so hard not to do it these ways. But it's that enemy, man. He snuck in. And if it wasn't for this guy helping me see that, decided to make a significant shift, you know? And I feel like I've said this before. I feel like I've killed more people after my service because I couldn't evolve. I'm a better Marine Corps officer today than I ever was because I've made a decision. I've been given the opportunity to see something and then evolve from it, you know? And I think about all these men that have been committing suicide. My radio operator, my fucking buddy here, this guy I served with, this guy I never served with, but I know exactly who he is because we've served. And I said, well, why didn't you call me? why didn't you call me? You know, why didn't you reach out for help? Why didn't you this? It's like realizing, well, because they didn't want to let you down, because they didn't want you to think that they were a pussy, because you don't need help and you've done these things. I haven't done what you've done and you don't have problems. I'm putting up this, even though I'm struggling with it so inside, keeping it so close, hold so tight. They don't reach out and then they don't do it. And it wasn't until I actually was forced to have my moment that I said, hey, you know what? Like, some of the greatest strength is to acknowledge your vulnerability and share the things that you think, even though it's not the macho big guy or this is like, hey, the world doesn't need another fucking superhero that's full of shit. They need real, honest people to talk about the same things. And then when we can, oh my God, like I'm no different than you. No, of course you're not. Like I'm wrestling with the same thing you are. Oh my God, I can come talk to you. I've created a conduit for conversation, and then I can use my resources, or I can use my strategies to try to help you, and we can learn and we can grow together. And ever since I started doing that, people reach out to me all the time, and I feel like I can help. And then you solving one problem just creates another problem. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, hey, I only have so much time in the day, and I don't ever want to tell anybody no. I don't ever want to answer an email or a text message or a DM or whatever, because it could be the one that needs your response. You could be the thing that just helps them wake up the next day, right? And that's all it is. It's all it is just open up your eyes one more day. You know, just get somebody to open up their eyes one more day, and we'll solve. That's tomorrow's problem. And it wasn't until I started to get rid of some of that bullshit that I was holding on to, just let that go, you know, and evolve. That, but then again, there's my problem is like, how do I find ways to turn a 24-hour day into a 25-hour day so I can answer more calls, more text messages? How can we create a system together through collaboration so that everybody has somebody that they can just talk to? And you know what, like, hey, you talk to me and we don't connect. That's okay. Like, I know somebody else. Hey, try that person. They don't know somebody. Hey, try that. But we have this network of people, and eventually everybody's going to resonate with somebody different. And then collectively we can start to understand and start to heal more together, and realize that we're not fucked up. We don't have problems that need to be fixed. What we're experiencing and what we're going through is normal and natural for somebody that's had the experiences that we've had. Mm. In fact, if you don't have the thoughts and the feelings or the things that you have going on for you right now because of those, that's probably the problem. You know what I mean? We should be feeling these things. We should be contemplating, you know, morality and values and ethics and our experiences. We should be processing. They should have an effect on us. And we need to understand what that effect is so that we can better ask the questions and how can we grow from them, you know, instead of say, hey, we got to fix this. We got to fix this. Mm-hmm. Here, take another pill. Hey, have another bottle of whiskey. Hey, fucking go get your adrenaline fix. Because that's not the way. That's not the way to do it. We feel it in here.
Yeah, I think my a little over a year ago, like one of my best friends, he committed suicide. No signs. Like, you know, former Ranger Neil Curry, you guys know of him. Like his family, my family, like we're all interconnected. No signs. Just gone. It was a wake up. It was a huge wake up call. Like it was a giant, like atomic bomb that went off in our lives, right? But it was also a huge wake up call because I started looking around, really doing a lot of introspective work, and a lot of it, to your point, is like, you know, alcoholism within the community is like rampant, and you know, I stopped drinking. Part of it was like, you got to lead by example. Like I don't drink in social circumstances. I don't have a problem with it, but it's like, you know, if other people see that I don't drink, if other people know that I don't drink, maybe they won't.
It makes it okay not to.
Makes it okay not to. Yeah, I can make a social circumstance where it's okay not to have a drink, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. Like I'm knowingly stopping something that I also don't have a problem with, knowing that the community does, and that if they can just provide them a little bit of clarity in circumstances where be like, oh, well, you know what? I don't see him doing it, or he's talked about it. I don't need to. Mm-hmm. And maybe that keeps it out of the hands of somebody that's like going to provide them the fuel that's going to push them over the edge in any circumstance. So I think for me, that was just a tiny change. It was just like a little thing in my life that I could change. That was not a big, it was not an impact at all. Like it literally was nothing but a positive impact in my life. And it's also given me like the ability to continue to go back to the community and go like, you don't have to. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to turn to that. You don't have to turn to a pill. You don't have to turn to a bottle. You can just, turn to other things, right? Like, hey, I don't know, man, like jujitsu or fucking running or whatever.
Whatever it is, yeah.
It doesn't matter, man. Like, turn to something else because you don't have to conform to whatever everyone else is doing. And within the communities we come from, it's so socially acceptable and encouraged to be a fucking hard ass. That's just like, that was like the badge of courage or honor, right? Like, yeah, that guy can fucking drink like a fish or whatever. And
it's taken to anything, whether it's good or bad, like taken to the extreme is the opposite of the initiation, right?
Yeah.
You said something about never saw it coming. How many guys do you know that committed suicide that you saw it coming?
There are a couple where I can identify like, okay, like because you can see the accelerated behavior and then you can also see it.
Yeah.
Like,
but usually when you start to see it, you inject and you start to try to influence against it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the process. And that's the way the system's designed, and it's doing well with that, right? Right now, I get these phone calls that so-and-so committed suicide, never saw it coming. Holy fuck. Great job, gorgeous wife, beautiful truck, hunts all the time, always happy, 1 million followers on social media, whatever it is, right? Like they got everything going for them. The fact that there are no signs, that's the actual sign. They're actually communicating a sign, but we're not using the right lens to look. And so I'm really spending a lot of time focusing on, hey, you know what? I don't need to see the signs anymore in order to take action, because I know that these things, if we're doing these things, whether I see the sign or not, or whether the sign's visible or not on the spectrum that we're looking, doesn't matter, because we're doing these things that we know will fight against it.
Right.
And so I don't search for people with signs anymore. I try to create situations, experiences that deliver the things that I know that are very proactive against fighting it. Because the reality is, no matter how high functioning you look, right, no how successful you look, there's something going on in there. And I know because I have it too. And I'm not trying to solve the equation by trying to find what the variable is. I'm saying, well, these are the contributors to fight the variable. I don't care what variable you have.
Right.
And I look at it as, in the military, did we ever wait for the Humvee to break down before we took it to the fucking motor T? No, we knew that after every so many miles, it went in and it got PM'd. And after so many uses, we always did our preventative maintenance cycle here. We had our scheduled maintenances, so the vehicle would never break down.
Right.
And I use this analogy where I think there are so many veterans that are driving around our bodies, our vehicle, right? We're the vehicle. Our check engine light is on, but we don't see it. It's right there in front of us. Our check engine light's on, but we can't see it. And we all know, even if you can see it, you can still drive another 50,000 miles on your truck with the check engine light on. It's when it starts blinking that it's imminent, right? It's when the check engine light starts blinking that now I have a problem. And a lot of the space of helping veterans that I'm in focuses on a veteran that recognizes that the check engine light's on, or a loved one recognizes the check engine light's on or blinking. But the reality is, I can be so much more efficient and effective at preventative maintenance that the check engine light doesn't come on. I just need to take you in for an oil change. I need to rotate your tires. I need to flush the radiator. I don't care what it is. I need to put snow tires on because winter's coming, right? Whatever it is. Like, so I'm trying to do something with our foundation and find other organizations or other interests, people that think this way. Let's focus our energy, time, money, resources on the preventative maintenance cycle. Because right now, Evan doesn't look suicidal. He's got no signs. But you know what? Maybe I don't have the right lens I'm looking through. I'm not looking at him through the right spectrum. I know Evan's got experiences and I have them, and I can relate. I can empathize. I can sort of infer. So let's spend time in the preventive maintenance cycle. Let's just get Evan out to a hunting trip. Let's just get Evan out fishing. Let's just have a campfire and talk about some things and listen to some music and play fucking cornhole, whatever it is, because that's the PM cycle. And there's plenty of great organizations that are well-funded that are taking care of the veterans whose check engine light's blinking. They're acute, right? They're right at the event horizon. Let them do that work. We don't need another organization to be redundant in that space. We need to collaborate in this gap over here. And that's all warfighting, man. That's all Sun Tzu. Surfaces and gaps, maneuver warfare. And I'm just trying to apply it. I'm trying to evolve my military career into what's relevant and important today.
What's the so when you look at your mission statement for Big Fish, like where's that gap, and how are you clear? Have you clearly defined your mission statement as to what its destiny is?
Yeah, we're empowering veterans to thrive post-military service through connection, growth, and service. Right, we're trying to the three pillars. Connection is to create opportunities for us to connect authentically, absent the bullshit, absent whatever. Let's just connect. Let's find what you like, what I like, what our experiences are. Let's create a path of mutual support, brotherhood, right? And then once we do that, let's invite some different ways to grow, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, whatever those things are. Right, and let's grow. Let's do it through challenge. Right, that's where growth occurs. The obstacles to the way. Right, the Stoics.
Yeah.
Let's challenge each other, challenge each other's paradigms, challenge each other's way of thinking, challenge each other physically. Right, let's have the spirit of debate in what it's supposed to be, not confrontation, but exploration to grow. And then once we do those, let's put you in positions to serve again. It's not military service. It's serving humanity, serving each other. I don't care if it's mow your neighbor's lawn. I don't care if it's call me on my birthday. I don't care what it is, but let's start serving each other, because through that is this sense of purpose, And so we empower veterans to thrive post-military service by connection, growth, and civic service, or citizen service.
Right. And is that are most of the donations, are they individual donors that come in and donate, or do you work with other organizations from the donation perspective?
We're going through a transition period. So in the beginning, we're on our 5th year now. The first 3 years was largely a passion project of mine. Starting the Big Fish Foundation is a passion project to help. And then we've recognized that, okay, hey, we have a body of work behind us now, proof of concept. We're studying it. It's growing. There's a need for it. We've kind of narrowed down who we are, what we want to be, how we're doing it, what works, doesn't work. And in order for us to take the next step in terms of making it more professional, more effective, we need to start looking at this as a small business. We talked about a little bit earlier, and we need to start inviting some pros at running businesses so that we can enhance our means of delivery, right? So up to this point, we've largely been just my social network and social network of a few people, and collecting individual donations. We're gonna try to start now. We've recognized this in the last 12 months. We need to pivot, and we need to start looking at strategic sponsors and corporate partners, foundation money, so that we can have some sort of reliable income, because the individual donations, you can't really budget for them. And they're starting to dry up a little bit because of economy, because of times. And so we're trying to align ourselves with some bigger names that have the ability to give a little bit of money. Our average donation is $225 per person, right? Across 800 individual unique donors over the last 3-4 years. And we're not asking for millions of dollars. It's just like, hey, can we find somebody that can give us $20,000 a year for 3 years?
Right.
And what I can do with $60,000 over 3 years, is huge. And by having that as a reliable, dependable for 3 or 5 years allows us to build out some more programs.
Right.
We've been operating at 96 cents on a dollar. 96 cents of every dollar donated goes directly into a program or something that supports a program for a veteran. And anytime you're operating that lean, other things are not happening, right? And it's like, hey, but that was a target I wanted to hit, because there's something very authentic and genuine, like when we can show the money and be very, very transparent. And it's like, hey, this isn't supporting 5 guys getting on a plane to go to Bermuda to have a board meeting or whatever the bullshit is, right? Yeah. Operating super lean. But in operating super lean, that there's opportunity gain that's not being realized. So we need to reallocate a little bit of money and spend some more money on some donor relations and cultivating donor relationships and looking how to do some grant writing and hiring some professionals to cross some T's, dot some I's in the governance aspect and leverage, entrepreneurship and best business practices in order to grow a little bit and just make this next incremental step. So we're going to be looking for, Rogue Fitness has been a huge supporter of us since the beginning. It was actually Bill that talked me into starting the nonprofit, because I was basically funding it out of my own personal pocket, my own business for about 1.5 years, and it's not sustainable. And he said, hey, like what you're doing is so good, like it's got to be sustainable. We need to start a nonprofit so that you can continue this, because you're not going to be able to do it forever.
Bill's the founder of Rogue Fitness, by the way.
Phenomenal guy. And, Black Rifle helped us with our row across the Atlantic Ocean, and the Big Fish Foundation was a nonprofit partner for that. And by rowing and being able to get the Big Fish Foundation flag out there, more people became aware, right? Like if it wasn't for Black Rifle's support, XIT Ranch's support, Rogue support, we wouldn't have been able to do the row and make more people aware, be able to message a greater audience about what we're doing. And it's like, all we need to do is just message.
Right.
And if that message resonates with you, good. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay too, but if we're not messaging correctly, people don't know, and you can't hold them accountable, or you can't hold it against them for not inviting themselves to be on your team if they don't even know that you have a team to be on. So in the beginning, we've been focused on building the best team possible. And now we're transitioning to message like, hey, we have a team, and this team is doing these things and having these results. So I never wanted to be, 21 years in the Marine Corps, pulling triggers, leading people. Who'd have thought I'd be running a business, running a nonprofit? Like I never, scripted that, but here I am. I mean, I remember your story, you talking about your story when we first met. Like, I just loved coffee. Yeah. I got out of the agency and I didn't know what I was doing. I just loved coffee. So I started making coffee in my garage. It found you, and look what you're doing with it. Look what Black Rifle is and stands for and who it's serving. Huge veteran employer in the space, philanthropic across so many veteran organizations. And it's just really cool. Who'd have thought, who'd have scripted it?
I couldn't have, I couldn't have predicted it. I think, and that's like this entire conversation is good. And I mean, it's been fucking awesome. I think, the other thing was like, where can people go to donate? Because I think that's important. What's the website? Where can they go to donate?
Mm-hmm. We've got bigfishfoundation.org is our website. We're getting ready to launch our new website next week. We've repolished it, offering a lot more. So bigfishfoundation.org is where you find out more about that. And then bigfish_foundation on the Instagrams is largely how we're doing our communication right now.
We'll go out, support Tosh. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it,
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Come back anytime. You're welcome here anytime. Open door policy, brother.
Appreciate it. Yeah, bless you, man. Thank you.